Black Cat Pinball is first in the room. What does he win? Hello, Dig71. Welcome. Does everyone love my funky music? Hello, Live Catch Pinball. One of the most important skills in pinball gameplay. He's gonna try. He's gonna try. He may not try, but... Hello, 808. Welcome. How is the weather in Hawaii? Oh, Mr. Baxter, welcome. Pin Daddy, how's it going? I like your emotes. Patrick 5 Trick. Hello from Seattle. It's awesome. Obi, welcome, welcome. Hello, Kiwi Frenzy from New Zealand. I would love to visit New Zealand one day. Kyle, when are we going to New Zealand? Sure. Brett Smith, hello. Crafty Vampire from Ottawa, Canada. Welcome. Blue Continental. Oh, you're associating these. Thank you, Crystal. We need some pictures. No. Well, I guess, are you guys ready to get this show on the road? I'm just still digging this funky music. Mr. Loaf in the house today, not even late. That means we should start the show. Kyle says, what are we doing? Let's start. Okay. Family Games is here. Last day of school, let's celebrate. Okay, we're gonna start. I just didn't want that music to end. Something about royalty-free music gets me every time.
Then you should put it back on. Oh, hey. Oh, look at that, how poorly I have myself framed on that camera.
Wait, I think I can... No, I can't.
Wait, hold on.
Hello, everybody. While Kyle's adjusting the camera, welcome to episode 58 of PinTech Live. Today, we are going back in time to Strikes and Spares again.
Turn off Twitch. Okay.
We'll be working on the Chimebox, or taking a look at it for us while Kyle works on it. Learning a few things about harmonics, perhaps, Kyle?
Oh, harmonics? Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see if these chimes sound just as beautiful as they should.
Yes. It's a part product development, part putting my game back together so I can actually play it finally.
Kyle only drinks fancy water.
Yeah, I do.
And then the ongoing joke in the office is he only will eat green M&Ms. So every time we get him a pack of M&Ms, we have to separate them.
Or else I get really grumpy and start being abusive.
None of it's true. None of it's true. I'm just spreading rumors. Too early for vodka. Oh yeah, that would be terrible.
Oh no, it's not.
Just had that filled with vodka.
That's a lunchtime drink.
At the end.
Oh
yeah.
In Eastern Europe, that's a common thing. Yeah, just a little swig of vodka at lunch. You know?
I'd be like, Pin Daddy, just in time. Yeah, who else is looking about rebuilding their chimes? Or maybe you have issues with chimes. I have no idea about anything chimes, so I'm really excited. I didn't realize the chimes were down there in that nice little box, and if you were here last week, Kyle turned it on and showed these plunger things like shooting out of it like whack-a-mole, and I was like, wow, I really have no idea about EM chimes, so this is going to be exciting.
I think I got to take a video of that on my cell phone before we put it back together, because I realized that that's actually quite humorous. So we will do that before we put everything back together.
Okay, cool. Are we going to do it during the show?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, no,
awesome.
We're going to put this back together very shortly here, because
what's it?
This is a first time ever, a PinTech first time ever. We're working on 2 different games and talking to someone on the same show. It's going to be insane.
It's a lot going on. Oh yeah, so let's recap. We're going to do Strikes and Spares. We're going to head over to Indy 500 and get a leg plate installed. And then we are going to have Dan Lucen from Midwest Gaming Classics come on at 4:30 Eastern, so the last 30 minutes of the show, and he's going to tell us all about their latest event that is coming up very soon here, July 2nd and 3rd in Milwaukee, called Midwest Gaming Classic Nights. And it's a big lock-in event. It's limited. It's going to be very special, and we're really excited to hear more about that. So stay tuned and get ready for lots of content.
That sounds great. And you know what else sounds great too? Is 808's drink suggestion: coconut rum and orange juice with a dash of cinnamon. It sounds like I could bring a little bit of your beautiful tropics to my tropical weather system here in South Carolina. We will also preface this stream where it is storming outside, and South Carolina infrastructure does not like anything that's not normal, which is just heat. So we might lose internet, we might not. The office lost internet for a long time today, so we'll see. But at least the tin-roofed building I'm in is not a reverberation chamber like it was 30 minutes ago.
Oh, Family Games, definitely have her send me an email or even reach out to me on Facebook. I'd love to know more about the benefit y'all are hosting and see how we can help out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can just pick up that text on the screen. I like supporting.
Oh, you can see it? Are you squinting?
Yeah, I can squint and kind of see the chat since we have this new TV that I can look at.
Oh, DeWisp called our stream glorious.
Thank you.
Glorious.
Okay.
Right. Pin Daddy has an early question for you before we start.
Okay.
Stop the show. We got this question. All right. Is it common? Okay, I have to read ahead a little bit. Okay, is it common for people to stick rubber rings on the chime plates to deaden the chime volume? Ooh. When I got my first EM, I had old rings on each chime, and that was the reason why I brought it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's common because a lot of people, when they brought these games into their houses after the operating companies would sell them, it's just loud. They make a lot of noise, and there's a lot of ways to deaden them. I mean, I've seen people do the horrifying and just like rip them out. My bow and arrow is missing its Chimebox bracket altogether. People will, throw socks on it, throw a rag on it, things just to deaden it. You can easily unplug most of them as well. But that's a good way to dampen the sound a little bit for sure. So I don't know. I feel like the sock or the towel method is definitely the easiest, method to quiet things. But also, not all chimes are created equal. Some of them sound better, sound worse, sound a little more reverberant. Some are louder than others. So there's different ways you can do every chime box. Figure out what works best for you. But these are Bally chimes, and Bally chimes are good.
Between the plunger and the bar. Oh, wow. Put socks on yours?
Yeah.
So it's common for wanting to turn those down?
Yeah, it's loud. They're very loud inside of a house. In an arcade, you can't really tell.
Could you put foam, like the sound foam we use for like our podcast room? Put foam inside the cabinet.
Maybe it'd probably be a fire hazard.
Yeah. Ooh.
It works because if you put a sock on it, right? I mean, these things are struck, and then the vibration of it is amplified by a little box, and that makes it have like a pleasant chime noise, right? But if you put just a sock on top of it or something, it can't vibrate as much. It loses the...
Look at that tattoo. Can you show us that chime bar in the camera? That's cool. Yeah. It's just like a piece of metal.
Yeah, it's just a
beautiful sounding piece of metal.
It's just an piece of aluminum stock.
Ooh, that sounded cool.
I'm not a xylophonist, so I can't explain these things, but I've made these many, many, many times, and the shorter the piece of metal, it vibrates at a higher frequency, which gives us a higher sounding note. Longer bar has a lower frequency, which gives us a lower sounding note. There are other things that play into it also, like when I've been working on games that are missing a chime bar or something like that and having to recreate them out of aluminum stock, there's all sorts of things you can do to change the tonality of these things, like chamfering the corners just a little bit will change the tone. It's nuts. So I'm hoping that these sound good. I haven't put them in a game yet, but these are new, made by us. What I would recommend, I preface the whole thing with is like, if you are just replacing one, it still might be in your best interest to replace all 3 or 4 chime bars you have. Your 50-year-old, 40-something-year-old chime bar in your game now might sound very different than one of these, which can cause like a discordant awfulness. So that's something to consider. So I would definitely recommend replacing them all as a set if possible, or if you replace one and it sounds bad, buy the other ones and it'll sound more uniform. So yeah.
Marimbist. That's what Crystal says. Marimbist.
Oh,
is that like a xylophonist?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, going back up real quick, DeWisp asked if we had the rubber tip for the Q stick on Cue Ball Wizard.
I don't know.
Is that just like a regular shooter tip, white rubber?
Well, are you talking about the one that hits the cue ball at the top? Because I think that's a special plunger, but it's just it's a nylon tip. But Usually when those things fall out, you do need to replace the entire plunger, and since that's a special one, I actually don't think we have that plunger. Not sure.
We'll look it up. Blue Continental, if you're listening, you could look that up. Be awesome. Where's Captain Retro, Pinball Mayhem, D-Dod, Hero? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so Kyle, you want to do this? Let's tell everyone our, as you can see with our little scroll bar, we have our awesome PinTech Live 24-hour deal, as per usual. It's 24-hour free domestic shipping, that's ground shipping, for orders over $99. And for our international friends, that includes you, Canada, $10 off international shipping for orders over $99. And the code is PT-Chimebox. Use all caps. And if you are international, go to the global checkout page first, and then you will see where you can enter the promo there.
Nice.
Oh, look at this. MGM Studios saves the day. Is that it? Plunger assembly chime.
Yeah, so that's a Bally chime plunger. So those guys, the nylon tip is what strikes the chime itself. If you guys open up that link, they're hollow plungers as well. The coils are very weak, and they need to send these plungers up, quickly. So having the reduced mass allows them to fire nicely. Oh yeah, that's the Williams chime plunger, A5387, if my eyes work right. So the reason there's not a lot of reason to replace the chime plungers unless they have a melted coil situation or the tip has ejected itself from the assembly. It is common on electromechanical games when a scoring relay will get stuck, and that will hold the chime on, which will melt the coil very quickly, which can cause irreparable damage to the plunger itself. So that's something to consider. On the solid-state games, it's a lot less common for the chime plungers to get locked on, because even if you've got a stuck scoring switch, the computer's only going to fire that solenoid one time. So that being said, this Chimebox in this Bally game is going to be the same. Bally used the same chimes from whatever the first game they used chimes on until whatever the last game they used chimes on. I know Lost World was the first game to have electronic sounds, so I think it might be Bobby Orr's Power Play could be the last game that used chimes. The solid-state games are the only games that used the fourth chime. Even on games that they made an electromechanical and a solid-state version of, such as like Matahari or Knight Rider, Evel Knievel, they still only used 3 chimes on the electromechanical version. The fourth one, the fourth one was only on the solid-state. So, yeah. So, anyways, aside from blabbling, let's do something. We've got a chime bar. The way that these work, actually, here, let's do this really quick. I'm going to carry this over. I'm going to explain why we are installing these. And let's look at the chime box really, really quick. Okay, so here is the fourth chime box. The way that this is constructed, right, we've got our frame. We've got our resonance chamber, which is loose. I need to screw that back in. We were testing and prototyping 3D printed versions of this. My goal eventually is to be able to bring this to market so people can purchase new chime units, which are commonly missing from games, like we kind of went over. But you've got these studs here, and that's what the chimes rest on. So the chimes have a rubber grommet that surrounds this post, which is then kind of encased in a little brass bushing. So that is what we're about to do. I'm going to install the grommet, insert the bushing, and then we'll put them back together. But I do need to take a video of these things hopping because it's funny.
Yeah, all right. So what's the first step?
The first step is I did all of them already. But
I know. Do you have an example of how to put the grommets on?
yes.
Were you able to get one out? So you're back at the desk for that?
Yeah. We did some Hollywood magic, and I removed one. So now we've got a sample. So these grommets, if you just wanted to freshen up your chimes, the recommendation would be, we sell a chime rebuild set. You've got a 3 chime and a 4 chime rebuild set, which I think comes with enough grommets, enough of the brass bushing guys here, and coil sleeves. I am not going to be replacing the coil sleeves on mine because in this instance they are okay. The commonly degraded part is this. These old grommets will start turning to dust, and then when they turn to dust, you get discordant awfulness, and we want our chimes to be crisp and nice. So, and also, since I'm just kind of I'm going to reuse my grommets here just because I'd rather keep these in stock for you guys to put nice new shiny things in your game and not waste it on my crummy game. So these are kind of a pain to get in. What I will usually do is you'll want to compress them a bit, kind of get it started, and then I'll like to use a screwdriver and be gentle so you don't rip the rubber, but we can kind of start working our way around and pushing it down and under into the hole of the chime.
Can you tilt your camera down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, move your hands back just a tiny bit. There you go. Perfect. It's wonderful. Oh, okay, so you're just kind of squeezing it in there. You're making it look a lot easier than I imagine it is. Can I point that out? Because you did that really fast. And I imagine I'll start doing it and it'll pop and roll across the room or something.
It might. I think overall, like if we're going to use our number rating system thing, this is definitely a 1. At the level I'm doing it, right? Just replacing your chimes and putting these things in here, while albeit this could be a little frustrating at times, this is a very simple operation.
Does it matter which side goes on which?
No.
Or is it exactly the same? Okay.
They're both the same. Now, if we had to do things like replacing coils and, that sort of stuff, well, then that job definitely gets a little more difficult. But just replacing the grommets in your chimes, whether you're using new chimes, if you're missing your Chimebox, or if you're using the old bars, this is a very easy operation. Once we get these suckers in, make sure they're all the way through and they're not like pinched or kind of rolled underneath itself. The way which would end up dictating up or down would be which way you put the bushing or ferrule or whatever it would be called in. I believe that this part goes up. So we're going to push these guys through. Now we have 4 of 4 chime bars done. Wait. Ta-da! So again, think about it, right? This rubber bit is going to isolate the bar from everything else, which will allow it to ring a little more.
Play us a song. All right, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Go. You only need those 3 notes.
No math, no live music. I'm too out of practice. But it sounds okay. Like.
Yeah, see, you're almost there. Now go back.
This one sounds a little bit out of place, but I want to hear them in the game. It's also, I'm playing them on a towel, so let's actually go put them in the game.
Yeah, let's put them on the game and smack them around.
Well, here our chime. There's a very, everyone's favorite little do-do-dun, that Bally games play when they start.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how to play that?
No. I don't think I have enough sticks to do that either. So, I found, okay, this game is disgusting. It really needs to be vacuumed out. I did most of everything on top with ignoring the little dead bug and all the dirt inside here. I also need to take all this stuff out before we start working on the dang game. I found a cassette in here that's unmarked.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
I'm very curious to see.
We should play it.
Yeah, I'll go stick it in my tape player at home. 45 whole minutes per side.
But if it's anything like the Ring audio version, it could be bad.
Well, you know.
You might have to pass it to someone else.
Say goodbye to Kyle. Let's see.
You would pass it to someone else, and then it'd be their problem. So we say bye to them, and then they pass it to someone else.
Who should I pass it to?
I don't know. Sometimes people like to pass things like that to strangers so they don't feel as bad. If you have any enemies.
Yeah, I've got tons of enemies. You know me.
Put it in someone's package. Pez, that's terrible. Then you don't even know who is going to get the tape.
I've played all sorts of curious cassette tapes in my day. I think I'll be fine. I guess that's what everyone who played that one videotapes thought too. So.
Yeah, I found a USB drive in like the train station on the ground that had some very interesting stuff on it.
Yeah, that would scare me. I've got all sorts of weird things in this game. We've got our warranty card.
Oh wow, is it still under warranty?
Maybe. I guess I could send it to Bally and see what I get. You know, here's the thing. When we go to Chicago, I want to go to 2640 Belmont, and I want to see what's there.
Oh, yeah.
I know that, I know that Williams still has Scientific Games is in their old building on California Street, I think, but, or California Avenue, whatever it was. But it would be funny to go see what's there now. Probably like a bunch of condos or something. Anyways, I want to record this really quick, so I'm going to do something slightly selfish, and then we will go get back to the show at hand.
No, we need it. Are you going to do it in slow-mo?
Yeah, I will. I'll probably record it both ways on my phone.
Look at those arm hair.
Oh, look at my arm hair.
On your arm. Oh, I was going to try to focus on it.
Let's see.
It's just the shot. Let's go up here.
Okay, so I think I'm going to need to... Is it plugged in? I think it's plugged in. Okay.
Wait, so what did you just do? Because I missed that part.
I just reattached the Chimebox to the cabinet. It was unscrewed because we were prototyping the reverberation.
But the new chimes are not in it yet.
No.
Which is why those plungers fly up and out like whack-a-mole.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to record it at 1/8 speed. I'm going to try to get it down even with the chimes because that will be funnier, I think. Okay, let's do it. All right, that was definitely worth the 10 seconds of my time. All right.
I missed it. Do it again.
Okay, one more time.
Hold on, let me focus. Oh wait, where are you putting that?
Well, is this better?
Perfect shot. No. Oh, it's the back one?
Well, both of them. But it's more entertaining because there's 3 of them on this one, so.
No, where it was good. Oh, right there's good.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
We should just do this.
All day.
So, I know that we might have some of the decision makers at Marco watching right now. This is why Emoto and I need a slow motion camera. They only cost about like $20,000, and we'd be able to do all sorts of cool slow-mo pinball stuff.
What's his toes said that 2637 Belmont Avenue is all condos now.
That's not surprising.
Sub for more chime plunger videos. Yeah, right?
Yes.
We'll send you the close-up.
We'll do that. Hey, that's our thing, Emoto. We just got to record pinball mechanisms in action.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so the plunger just goes up out of that hole and just lightly taps underneath.
Yep.
That's so cool.
I've already got it wrong. Ugh. The big one goes all the way over here.
Yeah, we can do 240 on our iPhones, but Mr. Loaf, 2,000 frames per second.
Hey, let's do a collab with the slow-mo guys.
Yeah. For sure. That's still my favorite video ever. If you guys haven't watched that slow-mo guys video where they show all the cool moving parts of pinball in slow motion, like extreme slow motion, please watch it because it's perhaps the best video ever made in pinball.
Did you say please watch it?
Please watch it.
Please.
Please watch it.
And then these are just held on with nuts.
Oh, it's so good.
Some of my little grommets were slightly damaged.
Oh, you got it. Thanks, Bess.
Disformed,
So
but
good.
they went on okay. I should have cleaned them, but whatever.
How do you clean these bars? What's the best way?
Oh, I was talking about cleaning the box, but...
How do you clean the box? Oof, goodness gracious. You
wipe
definitely should clean that. Yeah, why did you not wipe it? Why are you still screwing them in? You still have a chance to wipe it?
It's going to take more time to undo what I've already done. They're just going to get dirty again anyways. The new shiny chimes will cover up all of the nastiness.
Oh, it's just an illusion, though. Always be wiping. Yeah, see, but that's not Kyle's quote. He just wants to tighten things.
Remember, I'm going to pull like a dad card. Some crap my dad would say to me. Do as I say, not as I do. So clean them, but I don't have to.
Right. There is that disclaimer. So you guys should clean it. Clean out that dust. Before you install your nice bars.
What we're going to do is we're going to mess with this. I haven't, been a while since I've actually messed with Bally chimes. So, whoops, there's one more nut. I want to make sure that we're not over tightening them. Causing too much tightness can cause them to be rather dull. And too much, too loose can cause odd things too, so. All right.
So you kind of just need to tighten, listen to it, and if it's too dull, loosen them up.
Yeah.
And if not, the other way.
It feels like it might be a little tight. We're not getting any reverb.
Crystal. Have you ever heard the song, Mama's Got a Chimebox, Daddy Never Sleeps at Night?
No.
It's like a country pinball song, right? I don't know.
See, that sounds good. It actually sounds better now. We've clearly got, well, it sounds bad because I'm nailing it with a nut driver, but it'll probably sound a lot better when we turn it on. So let's see.
Yeah, where's your mallet?
I leaned real close. All right, that doesn't sound too good. It's a little bit quiet. So I want to figure out, you see how it didn't really have like good, it didn't sing very loud. Does that make sense? It sounds pretty hollow. I want to figure out if we maybe, if this aluminum stock is a little bit too thick. I also want to see how much I need to adjust and fiddle with these screws and nuts to see if they might sound a little more lively. What is the easiest way for me to get the chimes to make noise? Turn the game off again, or I could ground the transistors on the back to make noise. Let's turn it off since I've loosened them a tad. I want to see too, because like maybe these ferrules were too damaged and I should replace these guys. But we'll mess with it.
What would you replace? The box?
The brass guys that go in the center. They were a little disfigured, but I don't think that that's really going to cause what's going on right now. Either way, that's why it's called product development. Let's turn it back on and see what we get.
Where's my chat box? And so, but those of you just joining us, we are inside of Strikes and Spares, adjusting the chime box, trying to get the perfect chime sounds with our new chime bars. And Kyle had mentioned that if you're ever doing this type of install or repair, that it's always good to get these chime bars in a set so that the harmonics match each other.
Yeah, a lot of times if you were to replace just one, or well, we're working on getting replacements available, but when I would go and I'd make one for a game, they wouldn't sound too hot if you just replaced one unit instead of all three or something. So a lot of times I'd have to make them in pairs, because getting the one I just made tuned to match the other ones would be a pain in the butt. What I'm doing really quick is we'll spend just another minute on this. I'm going to get into the back box, and I'm just going to short the transistors.
Can you adjust Sony Cam to show strikes and spares?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 sec.
We don't have Mitch today, everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we all miss him dearly.
We're Steve-less.
Crafty Vampire asked, is there a chime setting on the pin?
No. I'm assuming you mean chime setting by enabling and disabling chimes or something. The only way to disable these guys would be to unplug them or something, so.
Gotcha.
It's like, as an operator, it's in your best interest to have your game making noise and be pleasurable that way. Because if you don't get that feedback of ripping a spinner and hearing the chimes just go ding-ding-ding-ding-ding, it sucks. You know.
I could see a pinball machine playing a piano 808. You should start working on that. Make your pinball machine play physical instruments. Lepin Star says, do you even need the brass inserts? Seems that to me they would produce more distortion. Oh.
Never messed with it that way.
Yeah, get to work, 808. Let's hear your music pin. Actually, there was a pinball machine once that was connected to some drums or it made some electronic music when you played it. What was that?
We had a dude, there was a guy, I think he was Dutch, but for one of the Pacific Pinball expositions, he sent us this game that was built like in a bass amp, and it had like a bunch of like thick music strings on it, and that would, when you would hit it, it would make all sorts of cool, discordant, scary noise. It was amazing.
What about Green Cam? Can you slide it over and give us a shot?
There's really not much of a shot. I figure this is something I'll probably end up doing a little bit off camera and show results, but what I was doing here is we can hear the chimes go over and over again by grounding the transistor that drives it. Do not do this unless you are very comfortable doing stuff like this and poking and prodding. Be gentle. But what we're doing is a transistor provides a path to ground for the coil. Your coils on a Bally game, every pinball machine, a solid state game, has voltage present at the banded side of the diode. And when the transistor is activated, it supplies a path to ground, which makes the coil fire. What I'm doing here is I have one end of my daisy chain of alligator clips hooked to ground, and I am grounding the tab of the transistor. This is how we test these things quickly. So what we can do here is I can hit Q1, and Q1 is the transistor for one of the chimes. Q2, nothing. Q3 is the knocker, which scared me. Q4 is the out-hole kicker. Got a chime here, and another chime there. So
yeah, those chimes don't sound good.
They don't sound right. So I'm going to see if I can tune them. I'll see what's going on. And if there's something I can do to fix them, or if it is actually just the bars are a little too thick, then I will go back to the drawing table. But this is one thing I will do when I'm working with Bally driver boards. When the transistors fail, they usually fail
like open, they'll fail to ground.
Oh, that's a
So
good
one thing you
question.
can do really quick before you put it back in your game, you don't need to put it in the game and run it through its paces. You can test for shorted transistors on the bench. You could hook, these are ground points here. This board has connections to ground through plugs, but it also grounds itself to these brackets. So you could hook one end of your meter here, and again, you'd put it into resistance mode, and you would tap each transistor. And if you have a path, if you have continuity between this tab and ground, that means this thing is shorted, open, it's a bad transistor. So without even putting this in a game, you could do most of that service while it's still on the bench when you're doing your filter cap
Nice.
and stuff like that.
Oh, TJ's here. Hey,
Hi, TJ.
TJ.
That's
We're
something Chris taught
doing
me to do, TJ.
Chime boxes. Yeah, you know all about that. Pinball Pirate to the rescue. We are learning about chime boxes. We're trying to make our strikes and spares chimes sound beautiful.
So the high note sounds good. The that one's just a little muted, and I think that might be because of how tight I have things adjusted. I want to fiddle with that. I think that's the middle note.
So a few questions, Kyle. One from CH Patton said, could the striker for the chime be missing a piece of felt?
They don't
That would
have felt.
affect it?
The part that strikes the chime is
Rubber?
a nylon tip, very similar to.
Like a shooter rod tip?
Yep, a shooter tip. Well, like an auto launch tip, like for any newer game that doesn't use a shooter rod
ridiculous.
or. Yeah, so that's what kind of tip they have. I think these ones are okay. I should have triple checked to verify, but it looks like I might need to take it apart one more time. I'm not super concerned with it. I think we're heading in the right direction, but we'll mess with that. I'll mess with it off camera when I get back next week. Hopefully, I'll have some good news. But I just wanted to show chime boxes. Again, if this was, if you were just going to put new grommets in your game, it would be really, really cut and dry and easy. This is half product development. So the next thing we're doing.
So, do you know this? I have a question that you may or may not be able to answer, but for tuning it, this is from Energetic Coach, and I really like this question. Do the chimes ever get out of tune?
Yeah, they can.
So, like, I would need to go into my EM and make some adjustments to make it sound right again?
No, it's not that you need to make adjustments. You would end up needing to replace parts. If you're, if the chime plunger did lose its nylon tip, you would need to go in. It would cause a deformation of the chime bar. And when it's missing a bit of material, that will change its harmonic properties, right? So that's one way where the chime bar can essentially wear out and then become out of tune.
And then another question, are those tip 102s? That's from Delaware Pinball.
The driver on a the solenoid on a Bally pinball machine. The solenoid drive is a tip 102.
Nice.
TIP
and then
stands for Texas Instruments Package.
What's his shoes? What's his toes? What's his toes? I would use what's his face. I like what's his toes. Said the bars on their William EM Gulfstream is about half as thick as those bars. So maybe it's a bar thickness as far as since you're doing some product testing right now.
I do want to double check. The Bally bars were a bit thicker, but I want to get my sample back from the manufacturer who put those together for us or made those chime bars or are going to make the chime bars for us. And I want to make sure that the gauge is correct. Williams chimes are arguably the worst of all the chimes. The design of them, sorry, I'm trying to fish out an extension cord here. The design of the chimes were, they just didn't sound crisp and they don't sound nearly as good as Gottlieb or Bally chimes. Bally chimes are the second best, but Gottlieb chimes are by far the best, crisp, nicest sounding chimes.
Grumpy EM Doctor came in to say, are the chimes ever in tune?
No.
It sounds like something a grumpy EM doctor would say.
Yeah. They're never in tune, and they don't need to be. They sound better when they're screwed up. Let's put it that way.
And they said, by the way, you know me. I have a new screen name.
I know you. Hi.
Oh, I know. Wait, you're not grumpy if you're who I'm thinking of. You just project grumpiness.
There's nothing wrong with, I'm very grumpy, but I project positivity a lot of the time.
I'm not going to guess on the stream because if I guess it and it's wrong, then you still can say yes, and then someone can steal your persona. It's happened to me.
Is that an anime?
Is that an anime? Is that what you said?
Is that an anime? Did you take that off? Maybe it should be.
No, that's just something that happened to me in like the beginning of AOL in 7th grade.
Whoa. Dang. Okay, you'll have to share that one with me sometime. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to flood this
Horror Stories podcast, and you could learn all about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to flood light inside the Indy 500 cabinet because we are going to change a leg plate. This is...
Oh, yeah. Okay, wait. So what cameras are we looking at? Because I just see the top of your head. I see Viking. I see...
For this, we will literally be
Strengths and
using the
spares.
the handheld camera. I don't think there's any other way we could get this shot because the camera is going to need to just sit inside the game.
Okay, sit it inside and then reclose the game. Like lift up the playfield, prop it in. I'll tell you when the shot's good. Close it. Stick your head in. Get your screwdriver in there. Nut driver.
This is okay, and also I will preface this with I am not using the tools I would normally be using to do this. To do this job, I would be using power. It makes this a lot easier. Do we have the? Can you put the handheld cam on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would help. Yeah, energetic coach. That would be really cool to experiment with those chimes and really feel how you can get the sound coming out. And
All right.
Grumpy EM Doctor, we look forward to having you on our show sometime soon.
That's right.
Oh, wow. This is a really good shot, Kyle. Without, you just placed it there and it was perfect.
I learned from the best.
I can boost up the exposure on my end. Looks in focus. So here we're looking at an Indy 500 leg plate. So we're just swapping all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go over a few things. Leg plate. This is where your leg bolts into the game. When we take this off, there will be 2 holes behind here for these long leg nut bolts. The reason we are going to change these is because these the PEM nuts, the threaded section of this leg plate, have stripped out. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can run a 3/8/16 tap through here, and you can repair it enough to kind of work. But these are absolutely shot. So we will be replacing this leg plate. The recommended tools to do this would definitely be a driver, like a impact driver or something with a 1/4-inch bolt bit on the end. It just makes this so fast. When you're in here, like I'm going to be doing with hand tools, it is tedious. But unfortunately, I forgot my impact driver at home right next to the front door where I put it so I wouldn't forget it. So we're going to do it the hard way. The second thing we need to be cognizant of is we are going to need to lift the game up. The way you would most likely do this at home would be to use handy dandy stool. I am privileged here. I am going to use that pinball cart instead of putting it up on a stool. But what the goal is right, we need to get this off of the legs so we can remove a leg, right? So very quickly, I will go get...
Do you want to put green cam over there in that back area?
No, because I'm going to have to get my head in over there.
You just have to swing it. It's just right there. Just swing it.
Hold on. I got to get the cart and stuff over before I start moving cameras. The leg plates on WPC games are very, very beefy. The leg plates on every other pinball game are not beefy at all. They kind of suck. You can use WPC leg plates on many, many games. They're nice because they actually tie the sides of the cabinet together. I'll show you what I mean. Your standard Gottlieb or Bally or even older Williams would use just a single plate that was about the same length and width you would need to put two like studs through to screw a bolt into, right? These ones.
Grumpy is the best Snow White dwarf, too, by the way.
All that light.
So if you want to be grumpy,
I've got a light facing a light just so I can have extra light. Amazing. Point this here.
Yeah, Indy 500 is a really great game. We've had a lot of fun working on this. I think we've spent the most time on Indy 500 out of all the different games. We must have like 10 episodes of this guy.
Yeah.
But if you were here last week, and you can watch the archive on YouTube, we did an awesome presentation doing ramp fittings. Oh, that was for Simpsons. Dang. We're cycling through so many games. I'm just going to flip this table. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Oh, yeah, we've just been working on too many
games. For Indy 500 with Ramp-O-Matic and Jody soon. So as we think we're done, we're not done.
With what?
With this game.
No, we're never done with this game.
Sorry, Mr. Bertak. This is a PinTech Live staple.
When I only have 2 hours a week to work on it, it just takes forever. But there's a lot of work to be done on this game. This game was particularly awful. It's going to be a lot nicer now, but I do need to dedicate more time off camera to work on it a bit. Currently, I am trying to find a short 1/4-inch nut driver.
We need to put like a GoPro cam on Kyle's head so we can always track where he's going. So 808 asked, what's the weirdest thing you've ever found inside of a cabinet of a pinball machine? Grumpy said a handgun holster. I forget what Kyle's answered.
I've got a few answers. Most of them, the good ones, are not safe for the family-friendly aura we are trying to preserve on Twitch, or the stream right now.
I found a popsicle stick.
But, I mean, I've found everything from ammo to drugs to, we'll put explicit media. Explicit media is definitely the most common thing to find inside of pinball games.
It's all the good stuff you want to hide. How about everyone in the chat? What's the craziest thing or weirdest thing you've ever found in a pinball machine?
I found like 180.
Do you still have it?
I found like $180 in 20s in a pinball game once that I bought for $300.
Squirts, I have no idea what that is, but it does not sound like it should be in a pinball machine.
Well,
yeah,
I'm sad because
worth money right now. Says Stark Fiber.
I can't find my short nut driver, which is going to make this job.
Mouse nests are the most common. Yeah. Mice gotta have homes too. Shed snakeskin. Ooh.
Ew.
And a wasp nest. That's not fun. The snakeskin's kind of cool though. How long was it?
So here's the plate.
Here's a new plate.
The plate. These guys. As you see, I mean, you've got bolts on all sides. So we've got bolts holding it into this center bit here, and then screws that tie the side of the cabinet in, and that's just nice. It makes this joint so much stronger. Pinball cabinets really like to split joints, especially in the front, for whatever reason. So these are nice. I will install these on Gottlieb EMs. I'll install these on old Bally games. I'll use these to install on like basically any leg or any game that I can possibly fit them in. When you look at older ones, like if you were to look at your Gottlieb EMs or your Bally, they would be about this long and just straight. So they would screw in here. You wouldn't have the tie-in that makes them super beefy. So, yeah. What we're going to do with is start by removing the leg, obviously. I'm going to get my 5/8" wrench and do that really quick. Actually, they're probably so loose and stripped that I don't even need the tool, but get them. This is an important thing that I will, all leg hardware needs to be solid if I'm selling a game. My old mentor taught me that it's just super important. You want to make sure that the things are super sturdy, because even if I might treat them rough in the shop, they're never going to get treated. They might get treated rougher in a customer's house, right? So.
Makes sense. And for those of you who have potentially missed it, Kyle is supporting the cabinet when he is taking off this leg. So there's a big.
I've got a pinball cart underneath it right now.
Pinball cart.
If you don't have a dolly, a stool will work great. Of course, obviously, or hopefully not obviously. You need to lift the game up higher than the legs. You do not have any load bearing on them whatsoever. It's also just difficult. I'm tall, so even with this thing like up on the pinball cart, I can still get in here and work. But do make sure that you are just conscious that this is precarious, right? I mean, the whole game can really wiggle on a cart. It wiggles a lot on a stool. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe have a helper, someone to kind of make sure nothing happens. So your machines don't levitate when you remove the legs. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, Stern, get on that.
You don't need legs because the cabinets levitate themselves.
I'm doing like a quick.
I think P3 Multimorphic will be the first people to come out with levitating pinball machines.
Yeah. Jerry's working on that right now. I know it.
Yeah. He's the innovator.
I'm spending another 1 second looking for my stubby nut driver, because if I don't have it.
Slide it next to the hot tub and play while you're, chilling. And to move them upstairs, you just go like this.
All right. So since I'm missing my stubby nut driver and I forgot my drill, this is going to be very painful removal of the leg plate.
Well, this is a great explanation of if you don't have so many tools, how you can still do this.
That's a positive way to spin things. How unlike you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to use just a 1/4 inch open-ended wrench and just unthread this painfully slow.
This is what it would look like if I was doing it.
I don't have a lot of feeling in my fingers, so we'll get to a point where I can just unthread them with my thumb too. So let's see. Actually, I might be able to hit this one with the screwdriver.
We need to have like one of those speed up time thingies, and it says like 20 minutes later, and then you're like, all right, so now the plate's unscrewed.
This just reminds me of doing a lot of work on the old air-cooled BMWs I used to, where you can't see what you're doing, so it's all by feel, but the wrench will only slip on so you could get like an 1/8 of a turn each time. So turn off, and it would just take hours.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. Energetic Coach said, what's the cost on these plates? I just put it in the slideshow on the side.
Yeah, I don't remember, but they're not too expensive.
And also said, is the ground wire, is that a ground wire on the top right screw?
It is.
And can you speak to where to ground? If so, they'll be getting their first pin back from their board guy soon, and we'll double check this.
It is important for every bit of the game to be grounded, which they do very thoroughly. I mean, everything, including like this back dust shield, also grounded. It's all tied here into the base plate for the transformer even. Also, again, just to be clear, the game isn't plugged in right now. You could potentially do this with the game plugged in, but why risk it? There is, high voltage in this transformer in places, so make sure the game is unplugged when you're working around the transformer. Of course, obviously, do not do this while the game is on. That is insane. Just in case I need to throw that back out there.
Nice. So it's important to reground it.
Yes, absolutely. Don't take something. They did this for a reason, right? As much as I like to think I'm smarter than the people that put these games together, they did things for a reason. So I always try to emulate that when I put them back together. Yeah, this thing sucks.
Yeah, and I posted it in the chat. It's $7.99 part. You can see the link right there for the leg bolt plate. And my insider source says these are high quality steel plates.
Well, yeah, let's look at the difference, right?
PM nut construction allows legs and leg bolts to be securely fastened to the cabinet and prevents cabinet corner separation.
Here's the original Williams part. Sturdy, not sturdy enough. It sucks. This is the replacement. We've got PEM nuts here. A PEM nut is a fastener that is like riveted and attached in a way that I am not going to try to explain because I don't fully understand it, to this piece of sheet metal. So we've I think this would be called like a threaded extraction. So the way this piece is made is it is a piece of sheet metal, which then there are two very hard things that get pushed into these holes, which creates this blown out bit in the back. Right? And then what they'll do is they just thread that portion. So I guess you could call that like a threaded extraction. I'm sure there's a materials engineer out there just like face palming so hard right now. And then this thing would be put into a tool which would stamp it. So it would run through and then something would stamp down and form it to get these two bends. The new plates are a thicker gauge steel. So they're a little bit heavier. A thicker gauge means it's a thicker piece of metal. Compared to the original, which I'm going to throw now because it's garbage. So it's heavier duty, but you've also got a much longer threading area, right? So before, it was that teeny little bit of extracted metal that was haphazardly threaded and thrown into the game. Now you've got these PEM nuts, you've got like another millimeter or two of thread, which doesn't sound like much, but it makes all the difference when you've got a almost 300 pound, pinball machine. So they're just better.
That's awesome. Thanks for pulling that out, doing that comparison. That was great.
Sorry, materials engineer.
Laser Q, Energetic Coach is getting a Laser Q. That's really fun.
That's a great game. That's one of my favoriteest games.
Yeah. And if you're ordering parts, Energetic Coach, if you're new to the stream, don't forget to use our free shipping code for our PinTech followers. It's free shipping for orders over $99. Load your card up. Take advantage of it.
Something to be cognizant of also, and I'm glad I noticed this right now, because normally what I do next is we would put the leg on with the nuts or the bolts going through to get it centered right, and then I'll go drive in all the screws to get it positioned correctly. But that was a super screwed up leg plate, and you can see that it has done quite a number to these bolts as well. I might be able to, we could throw them in a die and clean those threads right up. Whatever. They don't cost anything. Let's use some new leg bolts. You've just put a new leg plate.
TJ was in here earlier saying, when replacing the leg plate, also replace the leg bolts.
Yes. There's going to be, most likely, you will also have similarly nasty leg bolts. I have a gigantic bag of good quality leg bolts sitting over here somewhere, which is why I'm off camera again. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to make our friend Steve put brand new legs on this game anyway, so I might as well just use new leg bolts. Nah, here's some good ones. Leg bolts are cheap and they look great. It makes no sense to not replace them when you're shopping out a game. These legs are a little gross. I could probably clean these up. They're not bad. These will probably be giveaway legs to a customer someday. I could hit these with some Novus and a lot of patience, and you can get a lot of this discoloration off, but they're still going to be gross on the back. New legs don't cost very much, and they make a huge difference in the appearance of the game, just from walking up to it.
Yeah, and AIOU asked, are all pinball leg nuts the same size? Yes,
pinball leg bolts are all the same, except for the Bally leg bolts. I'm glad someone asked this because I'm super neurotic about this because I love my Bally game.
Can you put us back in?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just trying trying to get this tightened up. I need both hands. Let's look at this really quick before we jump back inside. The only difference between most pinball leg bolts, we've got, here, let me get a tool also.
Oh, God.
This is a, wait, this is the other one.
It's like a Blair Witch Project.
Here it is.
I gotta cut away.
So most pinball leg bolts, this is a Gottlieb 2001, and every single pinball game, basically, other than Bally games from the 80s, used a 5/8" head leg bolt.
Can you tilt down? We're not seeing it.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Cool. Great.
Bally, for whatever reason, used these glorious little 9/16 head leg bolts. A smaller size. I don't know why. But like every single Bally game up and through the 6803 era used these smaller head leg bolts. And it's one of those things where I just take great pride in making sure all of my Bally games have these 9/16 leg bolts on them. They're the same size. It's still a 3/8 16 thread, but it's just the head that is a different size. So if you've got all of these goofy little 9/16 leg bolts and you don't want them, please send them to Kyle, and Kyle will pay you for them. I like them. Anyways.
Nice. That's a good reminder, too, that we do buy pinball parts from you. If you go to our website and click on the banner, the scrolling banners on the top, you'll see the We Buy Pinball Parts banner. You click on that, and we have a nice little form where you can send us an email that says what parts you're willing to sell, that you want to get rid of, and you can drop some pictures in there, some prices, and one of our procurement team members will reach out to you.
But make sure the parts that you want to sell.
See if we can repurpose them.
But we have had some people, and again, there's no problem with that. There's a lot of people that send in and be like, oh, I've got all these pop bumper skirts. And yeah, it's like, well, that's nice, but we've got, we have an easy source to get pop bumper skirts, right?
Sure, but you never know unless you try.
We've got easy sources for a lot of parts, but if you've got, I found a guy today on Facebook selling banana flipper bases. Shafts and the actual forms for the banana flippers. That's the kind of stuff we're very much after. Definitely want those.
Yeah, I think the swag we're going to send out for our PinTech Live audience members is little bottles of Dramamine for our handheld camera.
Oh, get out of here.
I gotta cut out fast enough to... Let's go through. Oh.
So I think this is not centered 100%. Give me one sec. I'm gonna try to lift the whole leg up just a teeny bit.
Squirrels in his dreams.
There we go. That's a little straighter. I try to get these guys to drive in a little bit. I'm gonna kind of do
head
one.
Cam. I know head cam will be worse though. All right, 808 highlighted his message, so it's very important, y'all. Kyle, What is your favorite pin ever of all time?
This week, it's definitely still Centaur. Centaur is the best game of all time.
Nice. It's been that for forever.
Yeah, that's just my favorite game.
Yeah, that is your favorite game of all time.
Someone, I think Johnny Demonic, on Instagram did a little poll thing. It was like, oh, if you were stuck on an island, you could only bring one pinball game for 5 years or something, what would it be? And I still think I could have plenty of fun with Centaur over 5 years. So I said Centaur.
I'll still bring Hard Body, and it fits the theme of the island, so it works.
Yeah. So, yeah, reassembly is opposite of disassembly, pretty easy. I'm going to address this staple. I pulled this staple out to get enough slack in the ground braid, but with enough patience, and if I had my head a little further over, I could line the staple back up with the hole and push it back in. A staple gun, just a handheld staple gun even, you don't need anything super fancy and pneumatic, is a very handy tool when working on pinball. Nice to be able to drive a staple. He's
it's not beer 30 yet. But Colin Baxter, when we get Dan Lucen in here in about 15 minutes or so, and he's going to tell us all about the MGC Nights event in Milwaukee, then we can start.
You should come, Colin. Not that far away. Well, maybe it is. My geography of the Midwest is like no, but on a map, it doesn't look like Michigan's that far away from Milwaukee. There's just a gigantic lake in between.
Yeah, take a pirate ship, sail across.
Yeah.
Good. And 808 highlighted his wonderful mimosa, Hawaiian mimosa drink. So everyone try that out. And
which one's that? That's not the rum and orange juice, is it? With cinnamon?
Yeah, isn't that what a mimosa is?
Basically? Oh, well.
As orange juice.
Mimosa is champagne and orange juice.
And a dash of cinnamon.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to give that a shot. Okay, I got to get serious with...
Oh, Ice Skidoo, practical, man. He said he would want a Hercules so he can make a boat out of it and get off the island.
That's about all it's good for, too, is to repurpose it into a boat, so good choice. Although that game is wonderful for someone my size to work on because I can climb inside of it.
6 hours is nothing, Colin. You got this.
Oh, dude, yeah, 6 hours is like...
Pack the family and we'll see you there.
That's easy trip. Once you get to 14 hours, that's when it gets a little bit tedious to do in one day. All right, this is very frustrating.
Coach asked, were there holes there or should you drill pilot holes?
Nope, we're reusing the holes, which is why I put the leg through there to kind of get it to line up in the right bit. It's just, this is why I like doing this with power, because you can get in there and drive the screws home really quick instead of me having to finagle it with a screwdriver at a strange angle. The bottom right screw is kind of at a goofy angle, so I might want to take the pressure up off the leg or set the game down so the plate shifts up ever so slightly.
When do you know that you should do a leg plate replacement?
When you try to tighten the leg bolts and they don't ever get tight, that's when you've got a stripped out leg plate.
And is it one of those things where, like, oh, if I'm replacing one, I should go ahead and replace all four of them at the same time? Or
no, I would. I mean, it's kind of a waste of time. Unless you've got a problem, why do it? But at the same time, I mean, I guess at the end, if you do have like the cabinet out of the playfield, or if you're doing a cabinet project and you're, putting new art on it or something, it's not that much extra work to put all new leg plates in.
Nice.
But if this game was in my shop, I would not waste my time or the customer's money replacing parts that aren't broken. But this one was very bad. I didn't want to send it off all screwed up. All right. Now the last one, where I have to stand on my tippy toes and use my non-dominant hand, and then we can talk about MGC a little bit. I'm very excited to go to my first outing and our first pinball show in so long. But we'll save the excitement for...
I'm going to my first pinball launch party this weekend. Is anyone else going to a Stern launch party this weekend? I know there's a bunch going on all across the United States, potentially probably more than that too. But I'm going to a Stranger Things launch party.
Yes.
I have my Stranger Things launch party shirt from the one that happened on Tilt in Los Angeles from 2 years ago. Has it been 2 years already?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm excited.
I remember watching Jack and Mike and Brian doing the stream of it, like really close to Christmas of 2019. But yeah.
Oh, Illinois is going to the Fort Wayne pinball tournament. Nice. I saw that one too. They're doing turtles over there, right? Who else is going to a launch party tournament this weekend? Are there any happening in Colombia? Like official?
No.
Bang back?
There was too much pinball excitement
TMT
just a week
party in
ago.
Cleveland? Nice. That's awesome.
I'm thinking about doing a live stream on Saturday, working on my Grand Prix. So if no one is going to go to a pinball launch party and wants to listen to me blabble some more, I'll probably be doing that Saturday. Might work on Twilight Zone. I don't know. I want to fix the reset issue on Twilight Zone, but I kind of want to finish Grand Prix more. So we'll see.
Grand Prix, the ultimate spinner rip.
The ultimate electromechanical game.
The Unruly Quilter, welcome to the show. Oh, yeah, Jaylee Bolton is going to the Stranger Things launch party tournament with me.
Wow, geez, what a coincidence.
He's going to win, I hope. I'm just there for moral support. Oh, but at the TMT one that y'all are going to, if you haven't played the TMT multiplayer side game mode thing, play it and let me know how it is. I keep hearing about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Wait, the what?
I should probably watch like a Dead Flip stream and see what it's all about, but Crystal was telling me about it and it sounds really awesome.
The Turtles co-op thing?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
Where you can play like together.
When we had the Turtles here,
like TNA, right?
Yeah. When we had Turtles here last year, I played that with Steve and Eska a lot, which was really fun. It's such a fun. I like co-op. Co-op.
I love co-op.
Is way more fun to me than just being super competitive. So.
Oh, there's a Grand Prix at the Orlando Pinball Palace.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
It's a great game. I have to. I just need to put a couple more LEDs in for the GI. Yes, I am okay with LEDs and EMs. I'm sorry if that offends you, but and I just got to put it back together. I think I've got everything else good. We just need to work out some bugs. So it'll encourage me to put together my pinball room, which means I can
Stern Grand Prix.
play pinball at home. Oh, really?
Oh,
Stern Grand Prix is NASCAR, just not.
I see.
NASCAR.
But it's they said it's imported, so it actually says Grand Prix.
Yeah. So.
And not the NASCAR version, even though it is NASCAR over here, right? That's awesome. That's super rare then.
It's not super rare. It's rare in America because they never sold them here, right?
It's super rare for us. I've never seen one.
That's my ultimate version of NASCAR. I am not a NASCAR fan. So the theme does nothing, but the game is amazing. All right. I'm just going to set these lights back up so I'm not super dark, but hey, we did it.
Yeah, Energetic Coast, it would be awesome to see that in many other games.
I am very heavy breathing right now.
So, wow, Kyle, you got a lot done today. You
Did I?
changed your chimes, although it seemed like the chimes weren't perfect when you left it.
No.
Yet.
I want to mess with that a little bit more.
So you got to do some tightening and untightening to really get the reverberation of those bars.
Yeah, I want to see, I mean, there's a few things going on, right? Like those grommets are tight, they're brand new. So maybe the grommets will loosen up over time and that'll make it sound a bit better. I want to compare the reproduction bar with an original bar and make sure that they are, the same thickness, etc. But yeah, I think I'll be able to figure it out. I'll probably get that done, or I'll have a better answer, and maybe we could go over it on PinTech next week. But we might also be doing something really exciting next week too. So not really exciting, just different.
Yeah, it's always exciting here. This camera is out of focus and it's killing me inside.
You want me to zoom it in a little bit?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sorry, it's kind of hot in here.
Tap on the autofocus thing.
I feel like I'm super sweaty. This room,
A bit shiny.
we don't use this place super often.
In theory, that looks better.
So the air conditioning it's set too high. And then I get here and cram it down to 70 degrees and the air conditioner runs for 2.5 hours and the temperature doesn't change at all. Ugh. Anyways. Yeah.
And you're wearing your cool Marco Wizard shirt, so I'm sure that helps.
Oh, it does, because it's kind of short sleeve, so,
I'm feeling it.
Oh, the Dell Jr. had a sticker inside that said Grand Prix Playfield. That was like the code name?
What
Cool.
does?
Any news on Stranger Things UV kits?
I don't know. I think Stern made them, and maybe they'll make some more, but I'm not sure. I'm not privy to that. It's kind of difficult to source electronics right now, so I can imagine maybe that could be a roadblock for them, you know?
For sure. So while we are getting ready for Dan to come join us from Midwest Gaming Classics, if anyone has any questions for Kyle, you're doing a pinball repair, you're stuck, you need some outsider advice, now is the time to ask. Ask Kyle anything.
Almost.
Ideally relevant to pinball and pinball repair. Let's put his expertise to work. Oh, we're going to get one question in, and I just got my notification Dan's coming in, so I'm going to make an adjustment real quick for that.
Oh, red.
So I'm going to disappear for a second.
Playfield touch-ups. I'm not the best person to ask about playfield touch-ups. That's something I need to learn. I don't really like to do that kind of stuff. If a playfield's bad enough for me to consider touching it up, I'd rather just change it. I need to up my game on that, though. What we might be doing next week is working on my hotline. I got this old Williams EM that someone decided would be a great idea, for whatever reason, haven't uncovered yet, to wood putty the entire shooter lane. So we're going to sand it down, and we will have to fix up that bit, which is going to be nasty. If it's just a teeny bit of playfield touch-up, one thing I've done, like to match color especially, is use like a piece of Mylar or just any sort of clear plastic and mix up a few different, varying darknesses of whatever color you might need. Paint it onto that clear bit and then hold that over the playfield to find what paint might match. I don't know. That's something I like to do. It depends on how much wear there is too, though, or the differentiation, or the different kinds of wear too, right? Like, is it planking or is it like really chipping away? It's hard. Best wax for playfield. Yep, I like the Blitz wax. I have used that before. I'll recommend just anything pure carnauba. I'd recommend sticking away from cleaner waxes just because they are a bit abrasive. A Novus is abrasive, but Novus is not nearly as abrasive as like a cleaner wax is. So I would stick with just anything pure carnauba. It's usually pretty expensive also because it's all the fillers and the cleaner wax that makes it a little cheaper. Recommend a quality riveting tool. Yeah. I forget where I got mine. It ended up growing legs and walking away. I think it was thieved from me, but it's I can find that and I'll post it. I'll have it ready for next time. But it's like this, it's a jaw type rivet clamp. So it was about 2 feet long and it had these long pliers and it had like a 4 or 6 inch long recess. So it was easy to get around different parts of ramps, etc. I think we sell one that is like a C-clamp, and those also work very well. They're just a little more difficult because riveting is like soldering where you need 3 hands to do it right, and the C-clamp ones exacerbate that a little bit, but it's a good tool. Yeah, let me respond to Colin just because he's burning me on this all the time. No, I don't. There's zero interest. Me and this guy, BFFs for life. I'm just kidding. Yes, I do, one day. But I like my...
So we have Dan Lucen here with us. I'm going to jump over. So big smiles, big welcome for Dan. All right, you're live. Can we hear you? I guess I didn't check that. Unmute your mic. Hello.
That would
We're
help,
all
wouldn't it?
professional streamers here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
It's
can
not
see
like
Dan
it's not
on
like I have a
Twitch.
channel that does this like 6 days a week or something.
Every day we stream, we have some sort of audio issue. So no worries.
Yeah, it's,
You filled the quota for us.
It's kind of the fun of doing it. So, well, and this one was really stupid because if I would have just unmuted, I was ready to go. It wasn't an issue just as much as a user issue.
It makes it so much more fun. All right, so everyone, we have Dan Lucen here. He was with the co-founders of Midwest Gaming Classics, and they have a new type of show that they're bringing us, and it's going to be July 2nd and 3rd coming up in just right at a month now, and it's called the MGC-Game Nights Lock. So we have tons of questions for you, Dan, but go ahead and tell us what is this event? And is this the same thing as the other MGC?
Yeah, so it's significantly different. And we actually just dropped the lock-in part of it last night because apparently when we told people that we were doing a lock-in, they were convinced that they were going to be forced to stay awake for 40 hours straight and stay there the entire time. And I was like, guys, it's a gimmick. Like, no, it's not supposed to be that way.
I love that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, look, the show's not changing at all. We're just dropping the words lock-in from it because I was shocked by how many people were like, this sounds really fun, but I'm 40 years old and can't stay up for 40 hours. And I'm like, I'm also 40 years old, and there's no way in heck that I want to be up for 40 hours. It's just that we had so many people that always begged us at Midwest Gaming Classic, like, keep the game hall open 24/7. And in this case, we're actually going to be able to do that. And so we were like, oh, it would be funny. It's kind of like a 90s throwback party. We'll call it Game Nights Lock-In. And like I said, apparently, I have now learned that most people, when they went to lock-ins in the 90s, were actually physically locked in the building and could not leave. And it wasn't just PTSD. Where for me, I always thought as a kid that, like, if I had a medical emergency or something, I could leave. I guess that they were at places where, you know, if that happened, that was impossible. So, but yeah, the concept is basically, we've been wanting to do something like this for a while. Midwest Gaming Classic is a great time and is a great show, and I hope that people go to that too. But the idea is that we've been, for a while, people have been asking us like, oh, we would like you to do this new type of tournament or this type of thing. And a lot of what people have asked for is stuff that we can't do at the regular show. So like, for instance, we want to do some wacky tournaments. I should have grabbed them. They're right over there on my floor. I bought a 4-pack of boxing gloves because we want to do tournaments with boxing gloves. So you'll play pinball with boxing gloves on, and then you'll have to go to the skee ball machine with boxing gloves on, and then you'll go to the Papa Shot machine with boxing gloves on. And so like, it evens the competition and stuff like that. And that's the type of thing that at the regular show, if we're going to do that, instead of it being kind of like a fun diversion for like 20 people to do for a little bit of time, I would be like, okay, I need to have like 12 people there, and, you know, we have to be super careful because of this. And so like that type of stuff, that's lower capacity we can do. And then the other thing that we can do, or a couple other things that we can do at the regular show, because everybody else is bringing their stuff, we can't allow like beverages into the game hall. They're all my games, and I jokingly tell people that I'm more operator than collector because I've repaired games en route and I've worked for 3 different arcades, and I've never. If you are pouring a beer in the back of one of my games, you will be escorted from the facility. However, I've never had a person dump a beer on a game that I've worked on that I wasn't able to save within a couple minutes. So I'm not concerned about that. So you can bring in, you know, a beverage or whatever. And then, like, you know, we're going to have kiddie rides there, but we're not having any kids there. So if you want to come ride the kiddie rides, you can ride the kiddie ride. So it's like a bunch of that type of stuff. My dream come true. Yep. And well, there you go. And then it's also mixed with musical acts. So we've got right now, the ones that we've announced so far is on Friday night. We have a metal band called Lords of the Trident. They're more of a rock and roll band that if you go and you look up their stuff on like YouTube or something, they're amazing. They've played our show acoustically in the past. We haven't been able to do their regular set. And so they play like rock and roll that's like talking about like going into the dungeons and stuff like that. And then in some of their music videos, they have pinball machines and they have video games and stuff like that. And so the link there is really close. And then we just announced this morning that CNC Music Factory will be playing on Friday night. So yeah, so the group from the dance group from the 90s We've got at least one, the Everybody Dance Now people with their music.
Dance now.
Yep. Will you have a Lethal Weapon there?
Not just will we have a Lethal Weapon there, but we will also have the Power Factory Sega CD game, which is features CNC Music Factory.
That's the next thing I was going to ask, so thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't. So honest to God, when we had signed them, I didn't know either one of those. And someone was like, do you know that they are on a pinball machine? And I was like, no, they're not. And they were like, yeah, Lethal Weapon 3. And I looked it up and was like, so
that is
we're borrowing a Lethal Weapon 3. And then it was funny. I mentioned this on our Twitch stream. We stream on TV MGC. I was on it on Monday night, and I mentioned, "Hey, we're gonna have CNC Music Factory." And someone was like, "Oh my God, do you have the Power Factory game?" And I was like, I don't know. And so I sell retro video games on the side too under Goat Store, and so this is a brand new copy of it that happened to be sitting over here waiting to go into inventory.
Oh, how serendipitous!
Yeah, I was just like, "Yeah, we do have it." So yeah, it should be a fun time. We're really excited for it. And yeah, what else do you want to know?
Yeah, so everyone in the chat, if you have questions about the show, drop them in and I'll bring it up. AIOU says playing Champion Pub with boxing gloves would be fun.
Yeah, I don't have a Champion Pub, unfortunately, but we've got my game collection it borders on the eclectic. I would just say it's straight up eclectic. I've always been fascinated. Kyle's favorite, so it's perfect. Yeah, well, I've always been fascinated by weird games, and so like you can't really tell because it's being used as a table, but right there where the Rob robots are, this is a Caribbean Cruise, so like the cocktail machine. Yes. Just over there is a Full Throttle, America's Most Haunted. The laptop I'm talking on is actually sitting on Super Mario Brothers Mushroom World right now. There is a Elvin G soccer ball head-to-head game. Just kind of, we have an Orbiter 1 that's definitely coming. I'm not sure exactly which games are coming, but like I'm definitely bringing Rob Zombie because we can put it on adult mode settings for this and stuff like that. So I generally, when I'm going for games, I'm always like, ooh, what's the weird one? So a lot of what there's some more popular games. I mean, we've got an Iron Man, or I've got an Iron Man and a Ghostbusters and a Tron. And we'll also have a Stern Mandalorian there, a premium, actually. What we've been told is it should be one of the first off the line in the way of premiums. So, and by the way, if anybody wants to buy it and jump the line, the person who's bringing them to our show has just a few that he's able to get for our show. So I think that he's buying you your ticket if you buy a game from him, and then you can pick it up at the end of the game, at the end of the show. Nice.
That's awesome. Someone is interested in that, who do they contact?
Contact me, and I'll put you in touch with Chris at Kingpin, or you can just contact Chris at Kingpin directly. So his links are at the bottom of all of our different pages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
That's super cool.
We'll do something fun with that for sure.
Do you have any other Alvin G games?
Do I personally have other Alvin G games?
Or
yes.
will there be any more Alvin G games at the show?
My Pistol Poker is really sad. I have a Mystery Castle, which has potential of coming, but is in a tough spot to pull out and go through right now. Long story short, at Midwest Gaming Classic had a storage area that was like Clown Car, and I somehow kept putting stuff into it. And about a year ago, we had a friend of mine that said, hey, I've got this building. Do you want to put a game or two in it? And I said, how many do you want? And he said, how many do you got? And so he now has 30 games of ours in the basement set up. And for whatever reason, when we moved stuff, Mystery Castle is the one that didn't move. And I know that it has one small issue, but it's kind of buried in stuff. So if I get bored, I'll go to that other storage area and fix it, because it would be nice to have it out of there. I am a fan of Alvin G games. I for a while had 2 Mystery Castles, and then someone contacted me because they heard that I had 2 and made me a ridiculous offer on one of them that was not working. And I was like, I don't need 2, so sure.
Bye. I'm a big fan of all 3 of or 4 of the games that they did. They're really fun. I'm very particular towards Al's Garage Band's World Tour, though.
I regret not having bought an Al's GarageBand because I've had multiple shots at them for like $1,000. I've been in before anybody like starts flipping out, I've been in this long enough that I am someone that legitimately could have bought an Addams Family for $800 back in the day.
Yeah, no, well,
you're like, no.
And it wasn't even that long ago, though, that you could still get that. I mean, the last time I got offered a Pistol Poker, it was a $1,200 game, and that was only like 4 years ago. So it's like, that'll never happen again, but I should have done it.
Right, yeah. Pistol Poker is unfortunately, I mean, Pistol Poker is not, I don't think it's going to gain that much because from what I can tell, and I got mine in a crazy, I'm not going to, I don't like bragging about like deals, especially because so many of them are so long ago, it doesn't mean anything. Like if I say, like I said, I could have bought Addams Families at $800, but at the time that wasn't a deal. Like people are like, oh, how stupid do you feel about that? I'm like, not at all, because at the time there was no repair parts. And so what was I going to do? Get an Addams Family that had one thing break and then it would be permanently broken? Like, no, that's why they were $800.
Yeah.
And then people reproed the parts and then became worth more. But I got this in this deal and I didn't realize that the bottom of the cabinet is like flood damaged. And so like when you look at it, the transformer is like bowed down like this. And so I thought that I had a lead on a replacement cabinet for it. And I found out that the guy who had it was like, oh no, it was a different one. And then I sold it. And I was like, ah. So at some point I have to figure out how to redo the bottom of that cabinet before I go through fixing it anymore.
Yeah, talented cabinet people, they exist. They'll take it on because they'll think it's hilarious. I mean, that's what I've done with games before that I've rotten cabinets too. It's like, pinball? Oh, I could do that, you know? I build cabinets for $1 million mansions. Like, oh, okay, good for you, thanks.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to do something like that with it at some point. But I will tell everybody that right now what's going on is that I have prioritized games in a way. And I didn't do this because of the stream, but I was literally at the storage area today repairing games. And I was like, oh, I have to go back home because I need to go talk with you guys that are repairing games right now. But I prioritize them. Like someone was saying to me, because I have a Whirlwind, right? And Whirlwind has been rock solid. It is an ugly Whirlwind, but it's been rock solid as a player for like 15 years. And I had this one little issue and I fixed the issue. And then I had some people playing it just to tell me if anything would go wrong with it after that point. Because it was one of those issues that it came up 1 out of every 20 games, right? It turned out that the trough switch, for whatever reason, wasn't always registering. And so for whatever reason, once in a while, 1 out of 10, 20 games, whatever, it would decide that the balls that were in the shooter or in the lock lane it would fire them randomly into play. And so I was like, all right, so I figured this out. I replaced the switch. I checked it. I played like 10 games on it myself. Everything seemed fine. Someone else was there. I was like, great, can you go play that for me? And she was like, sure. And like 10 games in, again, this game, 15 years I've had it that it's worked great. It starts firing the knocker over and over again at like a weird pattern. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And so I walk over and as I look at it, it starts just randomly firing coils everywhere. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. So I shut that one off and people are like, oh, it shouldn't be that hard to fix. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing is that game now has moved down the list because I'm not sure what's wrong with it to like lower down.
Yep.
And I'll move it back up depending. And you'll get a kick out of this. Today when someone convinced me, oh, just, reseat everything once and then try it. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And so I opened it up, I reseated everything, I turned it on, and it seems like the coil to fire the balls into play for multi-ball was the issue. So I was like, you know what? Just for now, I'm going to snip that coil because it seems like that got stuck on. Maybe it just blew that transistor. And if everything else plays, it should be fine. So I snipped it. And I've never had this happen before, and I still don't understand how. I turned the game on, and it engaged, and it stuck out, and there were sparks around it, and I was like, what is going on? And so I turned the game off and said, clearly this one is going to be, like, this one has decided that it wants to get the playfield that I bought from Marco 5 years ago or whatever, put into it now. Now is the time, because I'm stopping you, and you will come back. I will do you in September or whatever, so, yeah.
Don't you love pinball?
Oh,
it's like
pinball.
A ship. You plug the teeny hole that's leaking in your boat, and then a gigantic hole blows out on the other side. You're just like, yeah.
It's such a great analogy.
That is. I have begun to tell people that I do not own any pinball machines, because people have always asked me, like, how many pinball machines do you own? And I now say I don't own any. I caretake for approximately 65 of them.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, they own you. And that's I've kind of given up working on my own games, other than the ones I have on location, because I seriously need to quit my job, because it's a full-time job. When you have more than 15 or 20 games, they own you. It doesn't matter. You can't play them enough to keep them all super happy all the time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was, right before COVID, I was repairing 30 different games en route. So like, I can do it. It's just a matter of like, there's also like the thing of like, when you mix your business with your pleasure, it becomes less pleasurable to do that. So like, I get home and I'm like, all right, I just spent 6 hours today at this arcade, like repairing pinball machines. I don't really have any interest in repairing mine for a little while, but it's actually been nice. So with game nights, every Saturday night around here, we've been getting together with like 5 or 6 people, and we've all been working on games. And so I have the most number of games working, and it's been like a cool hangout thing. So,
oh, that's awesome. Like, do you guys stream that?
Yeah, so we don't stream the Saturday nights, but some of the people that do this, where this location is, doesn't have internet, unfortunately. But like we do a EM repair show on Sundays. That's Mark's Basement Arcade Chat and Repair on our channel. Nice. It's at 2. And Mark has been coming out and repairing stuff at my place, and so he's like a ninja with EMs, and I'm like okay-ish with EMs, and he's like, oh, see the stepper unit? This is missing a pin that's right here. And this is why I'm like, whoa, it would have taken me like hours to find that, and you found it in like 5 minutes. So I love seeing his EM knowledge. And then we also, on Tuesday nights, have a more modern show that we do at 7 p.m. where Ed's Pinball Mayhem Workbench, where he does modern games and arcade games and pinball machines that are more modern. So yeah, if anybody's watching and you want to see our channel and see more pinball repair, we've got 2 nights of it right now.
That's awesome. And what's your name on Twitch again?
Oh yeah, TVMGC.
TVMGC. Yeah, and then sometimes you can watch Dan play through Earthbound, aka Mother.
I did beat Earthbound. You hung out with me a couple times doing that.
I was like, so nostalgic.
Yep, I tend to on Sundays now have a stream where I play through different arcade games, because we have all of these. I have them like literally sitting all around. We have all these different JAMA boards because we're making our own arcade cabinets to put these into for game nights and the regular Midwest Gaming Classic.
Wow.
Long story short, it's very hard to get people like. Pinball guys love hauling out pinball machines because you love to be able to look at them and compare them and stuff like that. Arcade games generally are all the same type of thing. And like the top arcade games tend to still be on location earning money, or the arcade games are actually heavier than pinball machines. And like, I can say this because I have a number of original arcade games. I've never been seriously injured moving a pinball machine. I moved a racer into the basement and nearly concussed myself in the driveway.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it like dropped and my face fell onto it. And I remember falling backwards. And as I was falling backwards, it was like one of the negative 10 degrees out in Wisconsin. As I was falling backwards, I remember my brain going, you could sleep here. That would be good. And then I was like, I should not sleep here. And so I hit the ground and I popped up, and my friend that I was with looks at me and he goes, oh my God, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. We got to move this in. And he goes, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. Let's move this in. It's negative 20 out. We've got the back door open. Come on. And he goes, dude,
you're bleeding.
I had a slice like this from where I hit the cabinet that was just straight blood. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to just bleed and we're going to move this in. And we did.
How to do this.
Wait, but where's your cool battle scar? Because
luckily
that's what I always do with my characters.
That scar I think went away. But Sega GT, Super GT is not coming to game nights or the Midwest Gaming Classic, and will be sold with this house if I ever move. Because I don't care to do that again. However, we're going to build 24 of these cabinets that should all be good to go by game nights.
That's awesome. And what kind of games will they be? I mean, anything JAMA? So are you going to build them with switchers, or are they going to be like individual JAMA cabinets, or what?
So individual JAMA cabinets, so I used to work for Six Flags, and so I was not just like a ride operator, although I was a monkey that pushed ride buttons for a time too. I was also, yep, go. All right. Anyway, I also though did capacity stuff for them, and in the way of capacity, I'm always looking, like even with the Minutes Gaming Classic, I'm always like, well, what's the capacity for that? Where can we put that to make sure that we get the right capacity to go through things? How can we make sure that people are comfortable with this? And so everything that we've got is either a 4-player board or a 1 versus 1 board. Awesome. So we have almost every, I would argue we have every good with the possible exception of 2 4-player JAMA games that were ever created in-house now, and now it's just a matter of making them cabinets.
Nice. Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah.
It's gonna be really cool. So let's go back to pinball real quick. How many pinball machines did you say you're gonna have at this show?
We're planning to have 25. Which, nice. On one hand, I know that some people are like, well, wait a minute, it's only 25. But the thing that people need to understand is that we, like I was talking about before with capacity, unlike the regular Midwest Gaming Classic where we have 10,000 people a day come, we're looking to limit this to a number in the low hundreds. And that will be the max number. So if there is for instance, there'll be a Mandalorian there, like I mentioned. If you're doing 4-player games on Mandalorian, and people are cycling through that so that we've got people doing that 4-player game every 15 minutes, it means that everybody that's there will be able to play it at least once per time without a line if they want to. And so like 25 games, if they're all doing 4-player games, again, should be half of the capacity of the show basically on any given night. And we did that, and the game hall doesn't close too. So if you want
I was like, I'm just gonna go at 4 a.m. to go play it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to do that, or if you want to go at 7 a.m. or whatever, there'll be times that they'll be more calm, and then there'll be other times where we'll have a band pumping in the background, and then people will be all around, and so it's kind of a whole different idea like that. But yeah, the goal is to have these 25 games, and then we're also doing. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of Jay Brand's Pinball Olympics.
I was just about to ask you about that because yes, I have, and I want you to tell us all about it because that's
that's right. I found your video on it not too long ago. So Jay is my friend in Illinois, and Jay has he's like a mad scientist of pinball things, and so he came up with all these wacky different things to do to play pinball machines. And so for instance, you can walk up to a pinball machine and you have a periscope, and the periscope has the mirror go down just by the flippers, and you look into it and that's all that you can see, and then you play pinball that way.
It's so good.
And we will have that at the show. Now we will only be doing that for a few hours. The plan right now is to do that on Saturday for a few hours in the afternoon and make some real events with that. I bought a bunch of chrome plated, they're not sitting by me. I bought a bunch of chrome plated flippers so we can hand them to people that win. But yeah, I mean, we're planning to give people fun trinkets for winning different things. And there'll be something like 10 of the games will be converted into crazy versions of themselves during this. And so it'll be that there's shower glass that's on it, so it's like fuzzy and you can't really tell. And there's so I told you the story of Whirlwind and how it just kind of blew up today. I also, and you'll appreciate this, I walked up to my F14 and was like, all right, this game blew up a couple weeks ago for no reason. I'm going to turn it on and see if I can figure out what's wrong with it, because maybe it's easy. I turned it on and can't figure out what was wrong with it. And that's because it's all functional. And I was like, okay, cool. So one of the things that we want to do with that, I love it when that happens. The demolition man that's back here was once dropped down the stairs, and since then it has worked flawlessly. Before that point, it had a problem that kept showing up intermittently. And after my business partner, Gary, literally jumped on top of it and rode it down the stairs when we lost control, which thank God he did. It's worked perfectly. So,
No, I always tell people they treat their pinball games too nice. They're all hermetically sealed and they, covered when they're not in use, and they use only the finest virgin sheep wool to, clean the play fields. No, just kick the dang thing. You'll fix half the problems.
Sometimes you got to ride it down the stairs. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
For anybody listening, don't actually purposely ride it down the stairs because it's not safe.
I endorse. No, just kidding.
But yeah, so that game, one of the things that I want to do is those center targets that are mean as they are. Yeah. I want to, one of the things that he's done is that he'll switch the tilt to those so that if you hit it, your game's over. And so
I love that.
And yeah, and so we're planning to go through and modify some of these games like that so that we can have on the plan will be on Saturday morning from probably and like I said, some of this is a little bit rough. It's coming in on how things go, but probably around 10 a.m. until around 3 p.m. We'll do that as like a 5-hour event where, hey, you play these and we're going to keep track of the scores and then whoever wins. And
awesome.
We're doing, I mean, and there's going to be a bunch of crazy stuff like that. We have a WWF or WWE superstar or ex-superstar. If you know your WWF, keep saying WWF, WWE people, he played Hornswoggle for many years. He is coming and he is awesome. And so when he was talking with me about coming, he was like, I would love to come, but I need to run a tournament. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, I've got a WWF Royal Rumble pinball machine. We've got WrestleMania, the arcade game. We've got a wrestling like console game. And so he's going to do an old school WWF. That's why I keep saying that tournament where he's going to actually organize it and run it with us, which is hilarious. So awesome. Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of different stuff like that. And that's where, again, like we can't at the Midwest Gaming Classic be like, hey, Swoggle, you showed up and you're awesome. Would you like to run a tournament? Sure. Okay, cool. You're going to have 1,000 people like following you around for the entire day. And all that you are going to do is sit at a pinball machine all day long. And like, that's not what he wants to do or anybody. So the lower capacity allows us to say, hey, and you know, if 50 people show up, we can still get through 50 people in a reasonable amount of time. Yep. But like at regular Midwest Gaming Classic, if we did this, there's no way we're going to have 50 people there. It's going to be 1,000 people that are going to all be all like, I want to play. And then they're all going to get frustrated because Swoggle's going to be like, dude, I wanted to hang out and play games too. And so,
I'm not just here for this.
I'm really excited about that.
I wanted to run a tournament, but not a tournament that lasted 10 hours.
Right.
Yeah, the intimacy, like Emoto said, that's what's going to be really exciting about this. Yeah. Right? Like, I think that's what makes me super excited to go because I'll get to talk to so many people where you don't get to do that when you're in a hall with thousands of people at a show like yours of that size, right?
Right.
And this also might be the only time when I ever actually want to play competitive pinball. Emoto, we need to do this. I want to play pinball with shower glass on it. I want tilt switches to be wired to stand-ups.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to play in the Pinball Olympics.
Oh no, yeah,
I hope y'all bring the tilt bob helmet that I've played before. I don't know if you've ever done the Pinball Olympics, Kyle, but it's like you're wearing like this hard hat and the tilt bob is literally connected to your head. So you got to watch your head movement. If you're a very movable player, you're not going to do well.
We've done a few funny things before at California Extreme where it's like, I remember one time we got an Attack from Mars and got banana flippers. And now you had to play Attack from Mars with banana flippers, and whoever won the highest amount, the highest score, got a prize. I've done things like that, but nothing to this standard. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's fun, and I really like, Dan, how it really seems that in this 2-day period, you're gonna have so many different activities going on, at the show, and it's a little bit of something for everyone, and.
Right, and that's really kind of the goal of it. We've wanted to do the show for 2-3 years. It's been in the works ever since we had another show that was like, hey, we'd like you guys to come in and run something with us. And we were like, oh, okay. And so we did the due diligence thing where we were like, okay, well, how much will this cost us and stuff like that. And we went through it all and we were like, actually, we could kind of do a different show with a lot of the stuff that we have. As long as it's not bigger, it's not going to cost us crazy amounts of money. And then after that, it started becoming like, well, what can we do if we're smaller? And it became like, we can do these Pinball Olympic things where like Pinball Olympics in a big setting is not nearly as fun because I think I played in the original Pinball Olympics that Jay ever held. And what was great about it is that you would talk with other people and you'd understand what was going on. And if you just put these in like a big hall, it's kind of like, why does that pinball machine have like shower glass on it? And why does that pinball machine blow balls at your face? And why is this pinball machine tilting? This is dumb. These are broken. And it's like, no. And so we have to slow that down. And then at the same time, it was one of those things where like I was talking with Swoggle is what Hornswoggle goes by in the independent scene. So I was talking with Swoggle about this, and he was like, dude, I just want to come and play with people. Can I do that? And I'm like, yeah. With CNC Music Factory, the main rapper for them, his name's Freedom Williams. Freedom Williams is like super pumped to get to go and play games. So he was like, I can go and play games for a few hours before and after I perform if I want to. And we were like, yes, that would be great. And so again, at the Midwest Gaming Classic, like I walked around with Ernie Hudson for a little while at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and Ernie is phenomenal. We're actually now friends outside of like regular show stuff, which is
lucky,
crazy. Yeah. It was funny. So anyway, we're walking around the show floor, and like I'm basically the tour guide of like, hey, this is where you'll go for your speech. Oh, hey, this is where you'll go for the cosplay tournament. And like literally, as I would stop and be like, this is the room for where you're speaking, we'd have like 20 people come up to us and be like, Mr. Hudson, may I have a picture? And it was just like, and he was super nice, and he was like, sure. But at some point, he kind of looked at me and was like, you should tell him to stop because we got to keep going. And I'm like, yeah, we do. So like, I was like, hey guys, we got to go. And like, everyone was really cool with it. But like, I know for a fact that Ernie had been like thinking about hanging out at the show somewhat, but then was just like, I'm too mobbed. There's no way. And so in this case, like with 200 people or 300 people or 400 people or whatever it is that we end up capping our attendance at, and that number's in flux. It'll be somewhere around there. We're not sure exactly where it is. And the long story short for everybody on why, it's our first show doing this. And so we want to make sure that we're not in a spot where we're like, oh, we're suddenly got 500 people and now it's not going to be that cool. But if there's 300 people, let's say, you know, even if everybody walks up to Swoggle or Freedom or whatever and says, hey, can I have a picture with you? That'll be over in like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And then they'll just be able to play games with people and sit down and participate. And so I'm excited to provide that forum for a bunch of people too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think too, because it's, again, the smaller settings, and maybe it's kind of like these ground rules that you can maybe softly enforce, being like, if you see a celebrity and they're playing a game, then let them play their game. Don't paparazzi up against them, sort of thing, because it's open for like everyone to have fun, which is cool.
For the most part, our people are good with that, and what the plan is basically like is to say is like, if they're playing a game, go challenge them. Don't say, hey, can I play this too? Don't just sit there being like,
I'm gonna take Swoggle down in full caliber.
That's weird. So
that's exciting.
Try not to be weird, y'all.
It's also going to be pretty special too, because it's also going to be the first show that I've gone to since.
It's going to be my first show too. It's going to be our first show as Marco sponsoring a show since COVID. So we're really excited for that too.
Yeah. The last expo, sort of being in a big hall with all sorts of people, was the Houston Arcade Expo in 2019, right? So this will always be a very special thing where it's like, oh yes, we're here now. This is happening again. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, we've been and that's part of why we did this like we did, is that we were looking at different dates and stuff like this. And for a while, I really followed the science with everything, and we were super careful because my 6-year-old was going to my parents' house every day, and my parents are both above the age of the like super risky and the COVID stuff. Yep. And so we like did absolutely nothing. It was me chilling at home with my wife and my kids and never going out. And now that we're vaccinated, looking at how cases have dropped and how like transmission is essentially like almost nothing if you've been vaccinated. It had for a while been something where I was tracking and going, it actually looks like we're on track to be really good by early June. And here we are. And like everything is basically reopening. And the other thing that works with this show is that, and I'm well aware of this because I've got 2 kids, but kids obviously that are under the age of 12 currently can't be vaccinated. But we also really don't want your kids under the age of 12 coming to the show, because like if I'm going to Bust Out Exploding Kittens Not Safe for Work edition, I don't necessarily want my 11-year-old there asking me what in the hell we're doing. If Rob Zombie's on adult settings, I don't want my kid sitting there watching the dot matrix animations that it does. And so we're targeting it at that like upper, like we suggest on the website. I mean, look, I'm
adult
also the dad that took
preferred.
I took my my at the time he was 9-year-old son to a heavy metal concert, and so I'm also that dad that says like, hey, you know, you got to know your kids. But if you're okay with doing all that stuff, that's fine. But it's not necessarily intended for them.
Yep, sure.
So,
yeah, you don't want to change your your idea and vision to accommodate like a totally family-friendly thing. But if you're cool with your 11-year-old being around people having a lot of fun, bring them my way. Yeah, that's cool.
We had that conversation before we went to this concert. It was like, just so you know, you're going to hear the F word a lot, and that does not mean that it's okay for you to say it. But, and like, so this band, by the way, it's Parkway Drive, if anybody knows them. It's my son's favorite band. The way that it became my son's favorite band is that he found one of my CDs of them. He was listening to it, and then his mother walked in the room and said, oh my God, what is this garbage? Turn this off. And so being the little rebel that he was/is, he immediately said, that's my favorite band, Mom. What are you talking about? Yeah. And it has been ever since. So like, he heard that they were coming to town and was like, we have to go. And I was like, I want to go, and if I go without him, I know that I'm going to have him angry at me for years. So it was like, okay, but then it was like, yes, let's lay down a bunch of ground rules, because like if you hear naughty language, that is how they do things at concerts. That does not mean that Ben goes to school tomorrow and says, this is the effing stuff that I heard at the show. And it's just like, and he got it. And so he was so happy to be there. He, like I have on my camera, I have film of him like sitting there and like singing along and stuff. But you also have to like actually parent. And so all that I would ask is that if you do really want to bring your kid to this, cool, actually be a parent to them first and explain like, you know, we are not, and basically, as long as you're cool to other people, we're not going to be like telling you to knock stuff off. If you're going to be a jerk to other people, we'll be asking you to leave, whether you're doing it without swearing or not. So,
good deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, someone in the chat said, "Did you say Ben Heck Dunk Tank?"
Oh, yeah, Ben Heck is coming too. And so
that's awesome.
It's funny because if you look on our website, we listed as the Ben Heck Gamerama because I was talking with him and he was like, man, this sounds really cool. I want to do something. I'm like, cool. What do you want to do? And he's like, I don't know. And then he was like, could we do like a game that's like playing games and like a drinking game where like whoever loses has to have a shot? I'm like, yeah, Kyle, that's like exactly what this is about. And he's like, oh, then I'm definitely in. And so I have no idea what he has planned. And we just called it Ben Heck's Gamerama because we were like, I don't know how to call this anything. So yeah. And like, if you look on our website where it says guests,
I have it up on our screen right now too.
Do you?
Holding up a little,
yep.
What type of device is that?
I don't even know. Let me see. No idea. But what I will tell you that's really funny is that if you look at it on the actual website that we have, which is, so it's Midwest Gaming Classic and then /game-nights.
Yep,
you go there and you look at his entry in particular, it says something like, it's Ben Heck. He's going to be there. What else do you need to know? Anybody that knows him knows already what type of crazy stuff he does when it comes to parties. So
yes. I'm excited to meet Ben Heck.
I've never partied with Ben Heck before. This will be interesting.
Well, then you need to. And speaking of stuff, I'll add one more really fun thing here. This is not yet announced, but will be sometime very soon because it is locked. On Saturday night, we will be having a band that will be playing called Kung Lao and the Scorpions. And so if you know the Mortal Kombat characters, Kung Lao is in Mortal Kombat. The actor that played played Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat, his name's Tony. Tony is the front man for a band. Huh. And it's hilarious.
And those guys like to party too.
Yes, they do.
I've seen them.
Yes,
they are party animals.
they did a little bit at our after party, and it involved a bunch of people with their shirts suddenly ripped off dancing around, which was like, I remember walking in and being like, oh, That's cool. And like at our after party, again, at the regular Midwest Gaming Classic, the after party is the perfect spot for that. But this was like we can bring out the whole band. So from what I understand, and I'm not positive if this is right, but from what I understand, he dresses up as Kung Lao and the other members of the band all dress up as Scorpion. And so they all play like that. And yeah, they will be playing on Saturday night. We've got some DJs that are playing. We've got a video game cover band that will be playing on Saturday night. We've got another group or another person who will be playing on Friday, more dance type music. It'll be an eclectic mix of lots of different stuff. And I think it's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, I've said this before, this is our first time doing this. There's a lot of different stuff going on with it, right? We don't know exactly. I've even admitted in this, like we are playing with our attendance figures, like literally daily. We're going like, well, wait, like I just figured out the layout earlier this week. And when I was done with it, it was like, oh, that kind of changes what I had thought about attendance. And so like we're moving those dials and trying to figure out like, where are we going to be at? And at the same time, like we had a really good pop of sales right away, and then ticket sales have kind of been flat. Today when we announced CNC, there was a little bit of a pop again, but like we don't know exactly how that's going to go. And you know, it's one of those things where the way that I'm looking at it is that one way or the other, we are going to throw one heck of a party. And it would be great if people were able to come and if they hung out, and if not, we're still going to be able to have one heck of a party this time, and we're going to make sure that this concept works and tweak it for the future so that's even more awesome.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
And where is this going to be located? Because you mentioned that it wasn't going to be where you normally have MGC now.
Oh, right. So Midwest Gaming Classic the last 2 years has been at the Wisconsin Center. Before that, for many years, we were at this place called the Brookfield Sheraton. And people fell in love with the Brookfield Sheraton when we had it at the Brookfield Sheraton. The problem is that like, the short version of the story is that everybody used to think that we couldn't figure out that the event was really full at the Brookfield Sheraton, but we also constructed a giant tent off the back of the building because the event was full. And the problem that we always had was there was just nowhere else to put stuff. And there was essentially these smaller venues, and then there's these giant venues. And making the step from like the Sheraton to the Wisconsin Center for ages was very difficult. We finally did that. But there's been a ton of people that were like, oh, I'd really like to go back to the Sheraton for something. And so part of this was we were like, we want a show that won't outgrow the Sheraton, that we can have at a place like the Sheraton. And I don't know that we'll always be at the Sheraton for it, but this first show will be back at the Sheraton. And we know like, okay, we can have this show and it will fit. And we're not going to have people like all over each other because they can't figure out how to do things. It will be a normal size show, and like there will be space. And there will be, you know, like if you want to walk to the place outside or whatever, like do you want to walk to the mall and get a burger? You can, but awesome. You still get the experience of being back in the old venue that people love and miss in many ways.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking this over and you mentioned it to Paul, and Paul has been going to MGC for years and years. He would just, his eyes lit up like, oh, you're going back to the old location? That's so cool. Yeah. So I imagine a lot of people will feel that way.
The old location, a lot of people described it as it felt like a gaming frat party because like we literally ended up at the old location, taking over 9 hotel rooms, taking the beds out, throwing them in the back of the Sheraton, and like using those for additional showrooms because that's how crazy out of space we were.
Wow.
And like because of that, people were always like, yeah, I went down this one hallway and it looked like there was like hotel rooms, and then people were telling me to walk in their room and look at the game they made, and I was like, what is this place? Like Spooky Pinball, that one of their first appearances at any show was in one of those hotel rooms at Midwest Gaming Classic.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and so like there was a joke that, I mean, it was partially a joke and real. We literally one year had games in some of the rooms' bathrooms, so you'd walk in and turn, and by the toilet in the room was like Carnival or whatever, and you'd sit there and shoot beside the toilet.
Wow.
And people loved that atmosphere. And look, people aren't wrong about that atmosphere, but the Midwest Gaming Classic was also never, it was almost like basically just barely clearing breaking even every time that we were at that place, because what people didn't understand is that tent was like a $45,000 tent to put up. And yeah, and like people are always like, yeah, you just pop the tent up, and it's like,
Yeah, that's what I would have
You know how
thought.
much a tent like that costs, and then you add heat to it, and then
Like
you
a
have
Circus
to
Soleil tent or something.
well, and then you have to secure it, and then you have to get it so that like you have insurance on that tent, and then you have to make sure that if people have like merchandise out in that tent, that people aren't stealing it at night. And so that tent was like crazy, and it's people joke with me because I always called it a temporary structure, but it is because that's what it was licensed at and permitted at. But man, it's nice to not have that anymore.
So you don't have to worry about
and
that
we can
now.
return to the Sheraton without needing that. And I'm very excited to do that.
This sounds
That's
great.
awesome.
Unfortunately, we have 30 more days. Actually, no, it's like 28 more days until we leave to come up and see you, but I'll be counting them down, that's for sure. I've always wanted to go to your show. I've never had the opportunity. I was very excited to go last year. And now, hopefully, I'll get to go twice in two different flavors.
Two different divergent styles of it. The small, intimate, wacky, crazy one, and then the bigger one, which we anticipate will be back with. I mean, there are so many things up in the air for the regular show yet. And that doesn't mean that we're not doing it or anything like that. We're doing it. It's just that so much of the industry in every type of the gaming industry has changed in the last year. And so many of the people that we worked with so closely are either out of business or they've like quintupled in size and they're like, we have no idea how to do anything anymore because everybody's buying everything. And so like, we're like, so much of it is now like, usually I'm just like, hey, you're going to take this room. And like, everybody right now is like, I don't know if I can afford it. I will see if I can. I want to do it. I'm like, okay, like, cool. And so it's going to be great one way or another, but, I'm excited to be able to do this first show first because it's something that we can control. So,
That's awesome. It's going to be great. So again, everyone, I dropped in the chat the link to Midwest Gaming Classics, midwestgamingclassic.com/game-nights. You can find more information about this awesome event coming up July 2nd and 3rd. That's a Friday and Saturday. So if you have family plans on the 4th, you can still make it. So it's perfect.
And if you buy the all access pass, we're going to keep the game hall open until 11 a.m. on the 4th. That was also confusing people, by the way. We just changed how we're promoting it because we had it listed as July 2nd through the 4th, and everybody was like,
I was very confused, and then I noticed it too.
Everybody was like, well, I'm going to be doing stuff on the 4th, and I was like, yeah, that's why it ends at 11 a.m. We're just basically going to let you wake up, play a couple games, and then go. There's like the Sunday, there's nothing scheduled. It's like, if you want to come and play one last round of X-Men Arcade with me, that's the time to do it. Or if you want to play one of those Exploding Kitchens games, I will do that then. Or Last Chance at Mandalorian, that's probably going to be a good time because I think most people will have left. But we wanted to give that because like I said, we've had so many people that have asked, keep the arcade hall open all night. I would love to play at 3 a.m. Okay, cool. You now have a chance. So yeah.
I'm definitely going to take night shift. I'm going to sleep during the day and awaken at night. My alarm will go off at midnight to be like, time to go play.
And I'll just add to everybody that's here. Tickets are $89 for the single day tickets. Right. We're calling them single night, even though Saturday is technically a 10 a.m. until 2 a.m. ticket. So it's a little bit more expensive than Midwest Gaming Classic prices, but it goes on for longer. And again, like we can't afford to do this stuff at the Midwest Gaming Classic for the amount of people that is there. So to get like say CNC Music Factory to play for a couple hundred people is not like because there's only 200 people, we just ask him very nicely and then he shows up. That's not how that works.
You need some more exposure.
It's not quite how that works. So I think that the value is definitely there. And then for a 2-day ticket, I don't have them sitting right by me. For a 2-day ticket, if you buy a 2-day ticket, it's $175. Something that we will be announcing soon, but I will share here, is that we have a number of Nintendo cartridges that we made for the Midwest Gaming Classic in the last couple of years. So they were our VIG badges. And so one is called Bovinium Quest and one is called Exit Loop. And anybody that buys a 2-day pass will get one of the 2 games you get to pick of either Bovinium Quest, which is like an arcade. It's kind of like it reminds me of like Popeye or Donkey Kong or that kind of style of early Nintendo game. And then Exit Loop is like a very short but endless like faller, like collectathon type thing that once you screw up, you get sent to the start. And so you can beat the whole thing in like 5 minutes if you play it perfectly. But to do that, it takes me like 4 hours to do. And I sit there just
to get to that level.
Yeah, I just go over and over and over. And so,
That's
anybody
awesome.
that buys the 2-day ticket will be getting one of those.
I still think it's like
so cool.
for like less than $200, you get to have like a really fun, intimate experience. Like you get to rent your own super rad arcade for less than $200 for 2 days. I mean,
and
that
have
sounds
cool people to play with the whole time too.
Yeah, that's the other
cool
thing too. It's all like super
sold.
like-minded people,
Yeah,
right? Like the same
awesome.
people that value spending
Come on,
$200
Obi,
to have
gotta
this
go.
radic time. Like that sounds awesome, and I'm very lucky to be able to get to come. So,
Well, thank you.
thanks,
Yeah,
Emoto.
well, yeah. Oh yeah, you're welcome. I guess I'll bring you with me.
Yeah, and so all
Well, if you guys
y'all
wanna
should
show up
come.
early
So
and, you know,
We'll have
fix
a- we'll
games
have a
on
small-
stream
yeah.
live. We could maybe work something out.
Yeah, we're gonna just put Kyle to work the entire time.
Bring
Yeah,
me
we'll
some-
fix all the games.
bring me some
I will
tools and bring me
simply
a
say-
broken game.
What would you like? Would you like Airborne?
You're opening
which-
Pandora's box.
Which is great, but if you haven't, have you ever done a Capcom Airborne?
I actually owned an Airborne for a while, and that was the
see,
game I
perfect.
sold where I vowed to never ever sell another game ever again. So,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's a fair game to make that choice on. I really like that game.
Me
but
too.
you will totally appreciate the reason that game is just on my poop list right now. One of the pop bumpers snapped in half, the body of it.
Oh yeah, good luck getting to that. That takes forever.
Right? I only have to take off approximately 15 ramps to get there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, you
I
want to
can
do
bring
that on a
that for
PinTech
you.
stream?
There's a Dracula, there's a Jurassic Park. Actually, I think that those are my only games that have issues right now down here. So, and
Hey.
Jurassic Park is driving me nuts. Actually, here's a tech question for you. I have a Jurassic Park.
Come through
If you turn it on, after approximately somewhere between 45 minutes and 3 hours, the soundboard will start resetting, and the stupid dinosaur will just keep roaring over and over and over again.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Have you? Well, first off, I mean the obvious question I'm going to give you, right? Have you replaced all the capacitors on that board yet?
I replaced the board.
Oh. Wow.
His eyes just went up like, oh.
And what drives me nuts about it is that, like, I replaced the board. I played like 20 games on it. Was like, oh, good, Jurassic Park is back. And then I walked away, and I left it on, and I was like working down here on this computer, and like literally like 4 hours later, it starts. I'm like, why is it doing that now? And it's like, so I turned it off, and I like messed with it. I turned it back on, and everything appears to be fine. But then I left it again for like another 4 hours. It started growling again. I'm just like, oh my god. So.
I mean, it's like if you say if the sound computer is actually rebooting over and over again, it makes me think it's a power problem. But
That's what I thought too.
I guess if the program stopped working, I'm not sure if the computer's smart enough to reboot itself if the program stops running, right? I figure if it had an error, like if the processor did something erroneous or it had something wrong in the program, it would just stay dead. So that's what I'd want to figure out. But that's weird, huh?
Yeah, that's a fun one. And I love Jurassic Park. Actually, have either of you played the new ROMs for Jurassic Park that Chad did a few years ago?
Yes.
Okay, so I not humble brag here, but I was the one that wrote the rules for Chad for that.
Ooh.
So if you reboot your game, you will have both MGC and my initials on it after Chad, because I don't program, but Jurassic Park's the game that got me into pinball, and I still am like ecstatic, because when he put that out there, I was like, I know everything that's wrong with this game because I played this game for 30 years
awesome.
and I can tell you every weird detail with it. And I also used to program, so we put our minds together, and
Nice.
I did that. I also helped with Tales from the Crypt a little bit, and I think I helped with Tommy, but I don't actually remember. So
Oh, that's awesome. Obi, you have a Data East Jurassic Park. Have you played that ROM system? And then also, Obi says, check the head-mounted bridge rectifiers and the big blue tube compositor.
oh yeah, that's
Capacitor.
a good idea.
Capacitor.
I thought that those soundboards only ran on 12 and 5, though. I don't know. I want to figure that out. So now I want to look at schematics and like figure this out, or just like look at it.
So maybe we should do that as a PinTech live show. We'll go to Dan's basement during the show.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot repair it until you come here. That would be fine. I have enough time to not repair it.
Yeah, right.
Kyle's like, I just want to play.
You can save something easy for me, but I'm kind of thinking I want to play and drink at this event, so, you know.
Okay, fine.
We do want to do some live streaming content when we're there, and we are working with Crystal and trying to figure out some cool side tournaments that we could run too that would be easy and fun for everyone to add to the activity. But we should do a PinTech live episode when we're out there.
Well,
something like something on the floor messes up.
Early.
Yeah.
If you guys show up a day early or during the day on Friday, this reminds me, I have to check with the hotel to make sure that bandwidth is good enough. But if you're there during the day on Friday, you know, if you want to do a stream then, I'm not going to say no, because anybody that helps me double check these games is good. Because, I mean, like I said, that whirlwind was working great until suddenly it blowed up and started shooting coils that weren't attached to anything anymore.
Well, I guess, see, that there we go, Emoto. Yeah. We have to figure out when we're going to actually fly in. And thankfully, we're flying backwards in time. So we can make this happen. I run on coffee.
Oh, so,
yeah. You know.
What time does the show start on Friday?
Great question. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. start time.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Runs until, and so it runs until always, but if you buy a Friday night session ticket, it's 7 p.m. until 2 a.m. With the idea that, you know, that's at 2 a.m. we're not really going to like hard push people out, but we're going to have the security kind of walk through and be like, oh, hey, you've got the 1 day wristband, you know, wrap it up type thing. And again, if anybody saw the promotion for it and was like, oh my God, I have to stay up for 40 hours, or oh my God, I'm physically going to be locked in the room and it's going to be terrible. That does not sound fun. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I remembered lock-ins as a fun thing and thought it was a catchy gimmick that people would understand. And apparently it just terrified too many people. So yeah, we won't do that. I don't actually want to end up on Sunday morning at 11 a.m.
Yeah, so it's not a lock-in. You're not going to be locked in. Yep. We're all adults. You can leave if you want and come back.
You can get a room at the hotel. You can drive home.
Yeah.
You can sleep in your car. That would be weird, but you could. I'm not telling you to do that, but yeah, I mean, whatever.
I have done that quite a few times, actually.
I have too.
I'm small, though. I was telling Kyle earlier, before we started the stream, maybe it doesn't really apply because of the lock-in thing, but it kind of reminds me of like a cruise ship experience. Like, you know, you're in this one space with all these people that after, you know, a few hours, you kind of start recognizing and knowing everyone and, you know, share that camaraderie.
Yeah. So that's part of what we're going for with it, honestly. Like I said,
it's exciting.
So one of the things that we've learned with Midwest Gaming Classic is that when you start at Midwest Gaming Classic, most of the time, the people that show up because they're so into whatever is not actually the whatever that they're there for is not what they end up doing when they become long-term fans. And so like I have a friend, she's been coming over with her and her husband have been coming over to help me fix my pinball machines on those Saturday nights. And she was saying to me before, she said, man, you know, we come to Midwest Gaming Classic because of pinball. We set up the pinball machines, we talk to the pinball guys, and then we go play board games for the entire time. And we don't know anything about board games, but we find all these people that are willing to teach us, and then we buy a dozen of them, we take them home, we put them on the shelf, and we forget about them until the next show, in which case we say, God, board games are fun. We go back with our pinball machine, set it up, and do that. And so that's where we also kind of want people to go, hey, like, let's try some of this other stuff. Let's see what this is here. And I mean, like the whole thing, I had a friend of mine, he was talking about it, and he said the thing that he's the most excited about is that, like, when you play an old school 4-player JAMA board, if you play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for instance, the real experience of playing that arcade game was having other randos walk up and start playing that arcade game with you. And suddenly you're on a team. And like now the three of us, even if we didn't know each other, now I'm Donatello because he's the best. And you guys are like Leonardo and Michelangelo because Raphael was always the last one picked, it seemed. And we're playing and we're going through and we're like now communicating and stuff like that and making friends, even if it's for like the 20-minute experience.
Yeah.
And he said like that's something that I think will actually show up here, is that you'll be able to walk up to people and be like, I'm going to join in. Whereas if you find like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the wild today, for the most part, it's like, I'm going to sadly play this game all by myself, and people might walk up and notice this.
I know.
The camaraderie, that
It's
instant
the best
camaraderie
part
you
of
have with
arcades.
those people on your team, like it's just so neat.
Right.
That's awesome.
I'm
Very
excited.
cool. And so Crystal says that we're going to do a giant, like the world's largest stall ball tournament. Have you ever played stall ball, Dan?
I don't know that one.
So it's like, everyone stands in a line, in a row, behind the pinball machine. And we play a game that has like a scoop or something that holds the ball for a little bit. So once you get it into that scoop, you run to the back of the line. The other person has to run in, catch it, and then has to like lock it somewhere else for it to stall. And then it's like elimination. So if you drain, then you're out. And
I like it.
We're gonna try to do a really long line of that. It's very exciting. So we have a few games
like
that
that
we're coming up with that we want to just light, fun, and exciting.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it too, is that like, you know, you can play really serious pinball and that's great, but like I can play really serious pinball and get my butt kicked.
No, we don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I don't really feel like that's like the fun thing. I would much rather play and like playing at Jay's with these Pinball Olympics events where it's like I can play, and you know, if I just do something slightly better, everything is good. Like that type of thing is kind of amazing. Yeah, I will tell you another idea that's been bandied about our headquarters here, is that we want to do a who's got the biggest balls tournament. And the idea would be that you'd start with, I forget what it was. I think that he had said like a video game one. We have a video game called Battle Balls, which is a head-to-head game, and you would play that first. Then the like top players there would go play pinball. Then the top players there would go play skee ball. Then the top players there would go play Papa Shot. And then he said, I want to culminate it with something with a yoga ball in the parking lot. I'm like, this can all be done. So yeah.
The ball gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep. Every game that you play, it goes from small to this massive yoga ball.
Oh my gosh. I love it. My cheeks are hurting from smiling.
There's a non-zero chance that the winner will win the yoga ball.
Yeah.
I need a new yoga ball. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could take it on a plane.
You can deflate them.
Surely.
They deflate really small.
Oh,
I got them shipped to me not too long ago. Yeah,
nice.
They go.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. That's why I'm here. Think of the big issues.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to end the stream. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, get your tickets to game nights. It's going to be great, July 2nd and 3rd. And for those on Twitch, we are going to raid. We're going to share the love. Do you guys want to see Xenon or Gottlieb's Baseball? Do you like Gottlieb games?
No, Xenon. 1000% Xenon. The other best pinball machine of all time. We love Xenon.
Is that what everyone says in the chat? I'm going
Better
to
be, or we should.
Xenon is my first game's cousin. I had a Cybernaut first, so.
Oh really?
It's the other plastic tube game.
Oh,
I love.
Mr. Loaf said baseball.
Will Cybernaut be coming to game nights?
Cybernaut will be coming if I can figure out what I did to the edge connector underneath it. So if someone has a Cybernaut and wants to take a picture under the playfield, I can tell you what to take a picture of, and yes, then Cybernaut will be coming.
Let's just make it work. Just bring it. Let's fix that. I love Cybernaut. Cybernaut is one of my favoriteest games.
Cool. Can we let's do a live stream to fix that one on PinTech Live.
Well, let me put it as, I wouldn't say no, and it should be a relatively easy fix. So yeah, we can chat more about that. I'll tell you more about it.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Perfect.
And then for everyone else too, I'm probably going to stream on Saturday, so you should bug me about it on our Discord so I actually get motivated to do that and not just work in the garden all day. So let's do that. We can finish fixing my Williams Grand Prix or my Twilight Zone or F14 or TNA or whatever else is broken in my house right now. So yeah.
All right. And then one last announcement from me. Follow TV MGC on Twitch.
Yes.
They're streaming multiple times a week and all sorts of different content. So follow them.
2 pinball repair shows.
That's awesome.
2 pinball repair shows, some arcade stuff. All over.
Video games, news, a whole bunch of other random stuff. So if you show up and it's not pinball, throw us a like or follow anyway, and then show back up when it notifies you that it's pinball. Or stop in and talk with me when I'm doing arcade games or whoever else is doing stuff. So yeah.
Find another hobby to enjoy, you know?
Yeah, we do all types of games at Midwest Gaming Classic and at game nights.
I love it. All right, we're gonna raid now and sign off. See you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, thanks.
Oh, I don't have my splash. It's